a GDQ partner for a very long time. It's owned by two artists. Every 24 hours, there's an awesome t-shirt on sale by amazing artists for only $12. And this event is no exception. To buy Yeti merch supporting the cause, you can go to theyeti.com/HRDQ, standing for Harvey Relief Done Quick. And $4 from each shirt and pennant sold supports the Houston Food Bank. Unfortunately, I think they are sold out of the coin sets. Speaking of Harvey Relief Done Quick, it is hosted by Games Done Quick. And Games Done Quick is a series of fundraising events that have supported a variety of charitable causes, including CARE, Organization for Autism Research, Doctors Without Borders, and the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Games Done Quick has raised over $12 million for charity since 2010, and Awesome Games Done Quick 2017 raised over $2.2 million for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. You can check out the website at gamesdonequick.com, where you can also check out the tracker for the remaining incentives for the names in Final Fantasy IV, which some are coming up soon, including Cecil and Kain, and the Spearless Zeromus incentive, which still has a ways to go. And now we have Final Fantasy IV coming up with riversmccown and commentators Neerrm and Netara.
Hello.
Woo, in there.
Hello, hello.
Great. All right, I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect. So welcome everybody to Final Fantasy IV. As previously introduced, we're your commentators, Netara and Neerrm.
Hello, hello.
And we are running specifically Final Fantasy IV, which is the Final Fantasy II US Super Nintendo version. And the run is called Any% no64, which references the 64 floor glitch, which we do in one of our other Any% runs. So what that means is we are not doing that big glitch, and we are not skipping the last third of the game. So the run is approximately about 3 hours long, so lots of time to get your donations in and meet that last donation incentive. And guys, you really do want to meet that incentive. If you want to see Kain just punching the final boss to death, get your donations in. So right from the get-go here, this game has a 7-minute intro. So there's a few parts in there where Rivers is actually going to be interacting and controlling the characters, but the majority of it, unfortunately, is kind of a bit of an auto-scroll. He is going to be mashing through a lot of the text, and Final Fantasy IV, like many RPGs, is fairly particular with how you mash through text. The faster you can mash through it, the better. So coming up also is going to be some auto fights, and depending on how Rivers did with his mashing and some of the frame inputs will depend on whether these two fights actually get a hit off on Cecil. Doesn't matter, but takes up a little bit of extra time if they do get any hits.
One of the interesting things about this game is that you can actually mash with any button. Like most RPGs, you can only mash with A, but just about any button on the controller works in Final Fantasy IV, and that's pretty fun here.
Reset.
Rivers did take a hit there, unfortunately, unable to manipulate, unable to see the frames.
Yep.
Try again next year.
Yeah, that's it. Run invalid. So now we are going for some more cutscenes, tons of fun, everything wonderful. But this is a really good opportunity to introduce some of the tech that Rivers is going to be using here at the beginning. And the first thing is something he set up prior to the start of the run, which is the Seed 92, the step route manipulation to manipulate the enemy encounters. So with him manipulating the specific enemy encounter seed, it means from the time he gains gains control after the 7-minute intro until the time he finishes the missed clip, which will be coming up in about, say, 10, 15 minutes-ish. He will have no encounters except for the one boss fight. So, again, he has specifically manipulated that, and we'll be following a step route at the beginning. Once he has completed that, he will be trying to get another specific seed, but we'll talk about that closer to the time. Something to note about a step route and everything is there's certain tiles where you can step wherever you want and it doesn't affect your step route, but there's many places which do affect your step route, one of which is unfortunately inside of castles, such as Castle Baron where he is now. So as soon as he gets control here now in a minute, he will immediately have to take very specific steps and make sure he doesn't take extra steps and does things very particularly. So this is the first chance where he has gained control of our main character, Cecil, who is one of the people whose names you can donate for to rename. And first thing he did is change both the battle speed and the message speed to 1 to make sure that everything goes by faster and to ensure that he gets the precise inputs for the boss battles, which is going to be very important.
It's interesting It's interesting in this game because the battle speed actually affects you and the enemies, but in the future Final Fantasy releases, any adjustments to the battle speed will only affect enemies. So Final Fantasy IV was Square's first attempt at really having an active time battle system. So there are a lot of quirks to battle speed in general, and like when enemies get turns and when you get turns and whatnot, we really try to, I guess, utilize our limited understanding of this ATB system, and it can get really interesting throughout the rest of the run.
Yeah, as you can see, this is a very first attempt by Squaresoft in ATB.
Yeah, you definitely see how it develops over the future games. So you did see Rivers there take an extra step off of that table, off the chair. That was written into the step route. He needed 1 extra step, so he would not get an encounter immediately after leaving Baron. And by stepping on and off that chair, he took only 1 extra step. So it does give him still about 14 or 15 extra leeway steps if need be, but he shouldn't need them. And one thing he also did was to pick up a tent. It's the only item he's picked up here, and that's going to be used for the miss clip shortly. So, but until then, you get to see this lovely plot.
Plot, 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 plot.
Speaking of that, you're seeing the 2 characters who can actually be renamed in the run. Normally, when we have naming incentives, once the character is named, it's set in stone, but both Cecil and Rosa do have a rename available for throughout the run. So don't worry, if you didn't get the name that you wanted, you can still try to donate for their names. However, once any other character is named, they are locked in.
And the way it works out is we'll be naming Rosa probably in about a half hour here, and then her second chance to be renamed will be significantly further into the run. But Cecil's going to have a ton of opportunities if you can overpower OP.
And do please try, even though there's a huge gap.
And, we want to give some shout outs to, Texas during this marathon. It's really nice how people are supporting Texas throughout this marathon, and I think this game should be no exception. Now, I do have some donations. Is it okay if I go over some of them?
It's a great time.
Let's go ahead.
Yep.
We have $300 from Grimora, who says, this is for Berserk Rydia incentive because she is the strongest fighter. Wait, what do you mean there's no Berserk Rydia incentive? Rivers, I thought we talked about this. Well then, this money goes towards naming Rydia Bersk, or Berserk, short for Berserk. Anyway, always so happy to see the speedrun community come out and support those in need. Best of luck to Rivers on the run.
Thanks,
Grimora. We have $300 from Evil Bilbo, who says, to see some more Texas love into this Final Fantasy IV run. We've got Kane as Corpus and want to honor Rydia as Port Aransas, 2 of the hardest hit communities of Harvey. Greetings from Austin, Texas, Germany.
I too, and I'm Austin, Texas, Germany.
We have $500 from In No Rush. No donations? Screw that.
Okay, so with the end of this intro here, we are finally getting full control of our party. And since we've already, that was kind of the last opportunity that a player would have to switch their battle speed and message speed to 1 before it starts actually affecting the run. So with that done, we immediately go to the Chocobo Forest right next to Baron and pick up a carrot which is hidden there, which is going to be very important about 50 minutes into the run when we're going to do a glitch called the Mimic Glitch, otherwise known as Trash Can or Carrot, which again we'll explain closer to the time, and also picking up a chocobo to make it faster to get to the Mist Cave, and so we also don't have to worry about our step count. So because of the Seed 92 manipulation, you're going to see Rivers have just an easy breezy walk through the Mist Cave, where he is also not going to pick up any of the chests because nothing is useful here. So,
and because of this easy breezy walk, the donation incentive for Kane's name is going to be closed very soon at the end of this Mist Dragon fight. So if you want to snipe that name, now is the time.
Yep, because if everything goes well, it's only going to be 2 rounds or like 2 cycles. So get your donations in fast. So what Rivers is trying to do in this particular fight is he's trying to get 7 hits in on the Mist Dragon between Kane and Cecil, which will set up the timing perfectly. So when the Mist Dragon here turns into its mist form, where we have to kind of sit and wait for a while, he'll be able to send Kane up in a jump purely by a sound cue from the music. Now, this particular fight was kind of Square's idea for a tutorial fight to introduce the brand new ATB system. So Rivers here just waiting until he gets his sound cue.
And one thing you're going to see Rivers do here as well is he's going to go into the inventory and start an item dupe on, I believe he'll be doing Cecil's shield. He might do Kane's shield. I'm not sure which one he does.
According to his notes, he does Cecil's and then finishes it with Kane.
Yep, there he goes. So that set up the first half of the item dupe glitch, and what that's going to do is he'll be able to sell an empty slot of Kane's iron shield, and that's going to get him a ton of money, and that's going to be utilized throughout the rest of the run.
Yeah, there's many items you're going to want to be picking up, but especially useful for the end of the run where he's going to be buying some elixirs. So with the death of Mist Dragon, that means the first naming incentives have been cut off.
Okay, let me do one last refresh for Kane and Cecil, although it's pretty obvious what Cecil's going to be.
Yeah, we'll be asking for those in a minute. Not quite yet. So what we're doing here now is what's called the mist clip. And so Rivers purposely did kind of a turn in place on the map. He interrupted a movement with Cecil and used his tent, so it looked like he just spun on the spot. And by doing that, he moved Cecil's position on the map over by 1, allowing him to take 1 step onto the Town of Mist without actually triggering the town tile. By buffering another one of these partial steps and interrupting it with the menu and saving and resetting, it allowed him to enter Mist through the opposite side, as you should be seeing here now. And because of that, the trigger which destroys the town, which you're going to see in a moment, is only on the left side of the entrance. So that means he can go in and get access to these items where you usually would not get them until you get your airship about halfway through the run. So he finished his duplication, sold his invisible item, picked up a stack of dancing daggers, and now is going into the empty house here and picking up both the tiara, and he's also going to get the change rod. So both of these items going to be very useful as we complete the run. One thing he also did, and we won't know if it was successful yet, was he did a hard reset in order to try and specifically get encounter seed 43, so which is the best encounter seed for the rest of the run if he can get it. So, but what we're going to be doing is both he and we will be monitoring the steps he gets when he finally does leave Mist here. Okay, name time.
So Cecil will be OP, and Kane will be Corpus. And while Kane is set in stone right now, Cecil's can be renamed until the very last rename at the end of the game.
All right, we in there. You know, I found out that it's very hard to hard reset with timing when you don't use a timer.
Well, we're going to see how successful you were or weren't in a couple minutes. So with all that done, they can now trigger the cutscene here and go through our bit of plot. And what you're going to kind of see Rivers doing kind of for the first time, and you're going to see it a lot more as the run goes on, is during this battle coming up, he's going to have some free time. And during that time, he's going to take every opportunity to rearrange his inventory, because he wants his inventory in very specific spots so he knows where they are, so he knows exactly where to go and get them to save some time. Yeah, it makes things much easier for future battles. So whenever he does get a chance in any sort of fight, he will be doing inventory management.
And it's one of those things that really adds up throughout the course of a run. It's kind of like, as an average watcher, you kind of watch and be like, oh, that's interesting, you know. But then, like, when you have to scroll past, 10 items every time you want to get to something, it really adds up over the course of a speed run. So inventory management is one of the really important optimizations that this speed run has.
Not just with knowing what items you're going to move to where, but knowing the best places to move items. Because you saw he was in the menu moving things around and then left the menu and went back in it. And that's because he had time to kill anyways, but in order for it to move to the next text box, he did have to get out of the item menu. So there you'll see a lot of that happening. But for now, we have lost one party member and will shortly be gaining another. Oh, and this will be our first opportunity. We're going to be keeping an eye on where Rivers now gets his encounters to figure out what encounter seed he is on. And there's a lot of different documentation around for this whole process. And it can be found on ff4.axoden, spelled AEXODEN.com. Now you can find the step routes. Oh, that's definitely not 43.
41 or 42. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's close. Nice. So it's very rare that you know exactly what encounter seed you know before Kaipo. Usually it's a few encounters after Kaipo you figure it out.
This one is kind of unique in that we're not sure which one we get until we walk out of the first save room. So 41 and 42 both have very similar routes up till then, and then they start diverging.
Yeah, and we're definitely hoping for you to get 42, as it's a slightly nicer seed.
But both among the top 5 seeds in the game, so either way,
Absolutely.
no disappointment.
Yeah, not bad for not having a timer.
Yeah, not bad at all. So we have another kind of easy fight here where if you're just new to this and getting used to it, you can just press A and absolutely win this fight. There is no threat of dying here. But if you want to optimize it and save a bit of extra time, this is the first instance where you'll see we'll be doing something called run buffering, which is where you try and run in an unrunnable battle. And while the can't run message is up, the ATB is paused for the entire battle. So any kind of inputs you put in while that message is up get kind of pushed to the front of the queue. And if done correctly, or if sometimes you just get bad ATB for the enemies you're fighting, you can skip some attacks and make things go faster and not worry about getting hit, which is going to be a concern later on in the game. Unfortunately, it looked like here Rivers did get the bad ATB for the officer, so he did not get them all killed before they got an attack, but it still went well. Next up is we have now officially gained Rydia in our party, and you see she is at level 1 and has 30 HP, and that is exactly the same state she is going to be in when we reach the next boss, which is Octomam. And so in order to make sure she is more alive for that fight, because she's probably the most important person in that fight, we give her the tiara that was picked up in Kaipo, making her a lot less squishy, and also put her in the back row. By doing this arrangement now, it also sets us up for when we pick up our next character in a moment. You'll also see Rivers specifically stepping right and then leaving Kaipo. This enables him to appear on the right side of Kaipo on the world map, which is very important for the step router.
So I think now would probably be as good a time as any to read off some donations if you have them.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, we have plenty. We have $100 from Strobel188, who just says hashtag Houston Strong. We have another $75 from Grimora, who says Bursk. We have a very nice $100 donation from GFX Ambassador, who says, naming a character for Jeff Lindner, meteorologist and spokesman throughout this for Houston flood control. These people handled 9 trillion gallons of sudden water by diverting every 1,000 cubic feet per second to optimal watersheds, with sensors failing in unprecedented levels that broke statistical models to minimize damage, and things would have been far worse without them. We have $100 from the Fallen One, who says, I don't expect this to go anywhere, but let's get Texas's Twin Cities in on the action for Final Fantasy IV's Magic Twins. In response to the Super Metroid run, Prime 2.0 donated $50 and said, we saved the oats? Nice.
So we get now one of our next cutscenes. Nothing particularly important about this cutscene itself, but what is of note is this save room that we're in is the first place often when doing the step route encounters where you could have to start taking extra steps. So what in this particular seed, Rivers doesn't have to, but you are going to see him taking extra steps in certain spots throughout the run. And what that will do is it will make sure he kind of dodges extra encounters. So most of the extra steps are set up to be taken in places where the step route keeps moving, the amount of steps keeps incrementing, but it's actually impossible to get any counters. Alternatively, sometimes extra steps are taken in spots where the encounter rate, just before the encounter rate increases, so you can still, again, skip some encounters that would be worse or forthcoming.
41.
41? Perfect.
So you'll see right here, Rivers running into a surprise attack. That is one of the very few things we do not have a handle on over the course of the run. There are ways that we've attempted to kind of manipulate back attacks and surprise attacks out of the route, but as I jinx him completely. But it's just one of those things that's completely frame-based, and unless you move frame perfectly and on top of that have an idea of what your inputs need to be in order to avoid back attacks, it's really just infeasible to kind of manipulate and get normal attacks all the way through.
So who knows, maybe one of these days we will suddenly have back attack manipulation, but as of right now, it's just far too complicated. So River's now moving to pick up, I think, the only item we even pick up in this cave, and it is the Darkness Sword, the next weapon upgrade for Cecil. And the reason we go out of our way to pick up this item is because not only is it the last weapon upgrade that we're going to get for Cecil until after the Fabul Gauntlet, which even with the Darkness Sword is very difficult. You're going to see here now River's taking 20 extra steps. But the other reason we pick up the Darkness Sword is because the next boss, Octomam, is weak to the element of that sword. So because of that twofold reason, it's just not recommended to skip it. There are definitely items in these runs where you can either leave it or pick it up depending on how comfortable you are or how YOLO you want to do the run. But the Darkness Sword is not one of those items.
All right, let's get lucky.
Yep, so we're coming up on Octomom here. Octomom is a pretty interesting fight where for every 2 hits you do to Octomom, she will lose a tentacle, or he will lose a tentacle. And then Octomom starts to fight very, very fast, very high agility. And what we're looking for is for Rydia to not take damage here. She's the primary damage dealer, as she's the only one capable of equipping the Dancing Dagger. As you'll see in a little bit here, she does a ton of damage with that thing. So the optimal fight for this is a nice balance of not only getting in as many attacks as quickly as possible to reduce the number of tentacles and reduce Octomom's agility, but it's also important to not waste time with like certain spell animations. So you're going to see Rivers do 2 lightning attacks here, and he might take some safety strats and maybe do a cure. But after 2 or 3 lightnings from Tella, it actually becomes inefficient for him to do anything but stop himself. He's basically a waste of time.
He definitely is. So what you're also seeing is you're seeing more inventory management here by Rivers, but very specifically, Rivers took the moment to move the trash can up to near the top. That is the second item that will be used in the thing. And Tella, thank you so much for that. One of the problems with Tella and what he does, especially up until the point where Cecil becomes a paladin, is he has a chance. Most of the spells have their own individual chance of missing, but because Tella is an old man, he has worse stats than a lot of the other characters, and so he has a fairly high chance of just missing spells, especially when we need them. And that was exactly what he did with his first stop. He just decided he wasn't even going to bother.
And so this right here is a good instance of Rivers moving an item while dialogue is going on. Like there's all this dialogue going on in the plot where you literally can't do anything except move items, so why not?
Yeah, and he going well here down to, so you can kill Octomam with 2 arms, but you have to get kind of very specific damage values. So doesn't matter so much, and he's dead. And what I want to note, now that Octomam is dead, he did take a little bit of a risk there, played it a bit fast and loose with Rydia's HP. He kept it low, and rather than taking, a bit of safety to use Tella to cure her, he just said, nope, we're stopping Tella, I've got this. And thankfully he did. But sometimes Octomam does not play ball and just outright kills her. So that it doesn't stop you from winning the fight, but it makes things slower, and you also risk not having her alive for the end of the battle. The reason that can be problematic is we really kind of need her alive for the Mom Bomb fight coming up. There's an attack there where she really has a great chance of dying if she doesn't have as much HP as possible. So both her and Edward, who is our next character we'll acquire, we want them alive for the next few boss fights so they can get as many levels as possible.
So while we're witnessing the extra steps River's taking here and a certain spoony bard appearing, how about some more donations?
I want to see those spoons, chat.
Sure thing. But before I go into donations, I'd like to remind people that there is one final donation incentive, donation goal left, and that is Spiritless Zeromus. If you want to see Karate Kane beat up Zeromus with his fists, it'll be we're at $2,548.99 out of $10,000. That is available until the final cutscene before Zeromus, so you do still have some time.
I'm seeing someone asking in the chat. We explained earlier, but the no64 is referring to one of the other runs categories we have, which is the 64 floor glitch, which skips the last third of the game with using quite a big glitch in the game. This category we're running, no64, does not use that glitch, so we will be playing the entire game.
We have $50 from Doasim137, who says, I just want to help. $25 from Stephanie Vassar, who says, love the way everyone came together so quickly for such a great cause. We have $50 from Annie Subterra. Had to get in at the final push. Let's make it to 200,000. Not bad for 2 days of preparation. Donation goes to Spiritless Zeromus. Let's get that in.
Let's punch that interdimensional being.
We have $100 from Curly, who says, let's break 200,000 and beyond. And $25 from DBH Kasumi. Had to donate during my favorite Final Fantasy. Good luck in the run, and thank you, GDQ, for organizing this so quickly. I hope that everyone affected by Harvey can benefit from the cause this is supporting. $100 from Bob Chow 87. good luck with the final run of HRDQ. Such an honor to have it be Final Fantasy IV. Nice to see such familiar faces and voices from the Paladin Percent tourney earlier this year. Let's see some Spearless Aromas because that's part of the game I haven't already seen.
Okay, so now that we have finally finished that chunk of cutscenes, don't worry, there's lots more to come. We are off to our next dungeon of the game, as it were, to the Antlion Cave. So thankfully, we have gotten our new shiny, hard-to-pilot hovercraft, which has delivered us here, which is the whole reason we needed Edward in the first place. And for those of you familiar with this run casually, Edward in the casual game is pretty useless, to put it mildly. However, as you're going to see, similar to Rydia, who we used to great effect in the Octomam fight, Edward can also equip the dancing daggers we picked up. So while we have him in this beginning chunk of the game, he is actually much more useful than many of the other characters we're going to have, other than the fact he does not have a lot of HP. So we'll be doing what we can to mitigate that fact and continuing on. The one chest... Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Edward and Rydia being useful, the donation cutoff for that is going to be when we leave this cave that we're in right now. So if you wanted to last second snipe Edward's name or Rydia's name, or if you wanted to change Rosa's name, now is your chance.
Here comes the toughest boss fight of the game, guys.
Toughest boss fight you need.
Everybody just get geared up.
Needs some real serious time. So yeah, the one chest you did see Rivers pick up, though, was a life, which we refer to as the safety life. It's a just-in-case item. Now, as I'm sure you could guess, we're being completely sarcastic about the difficulty of this fight. In the casual run, Antlion can be a bit of a tough boss because every time you physically attack him, he does counterattack for quite a bit of damage for your characters. However, we have dancing daggers, and when used as an item as we do, they count as a magic attack, which this version of Antlion does not counterattack. So within 3 or 4 dancing daggers, and with our OPOP parrying, easy peasy fight, free experience for all. The scariest part about this fight is actually the walk to Antlion, which is one of the reasons you pick up that safety life, as there's no real opportunity to cure your party before then. And after the Octomam fight, Rydia can be very low HP, plus if you get just that wrong back attack, they can kill both Rydia and Edward. So better to have it than not, and Rivers can just move it out of the way if it's not required. But anyone who doesn't pick up that safety life often comes to regret it, especially in a marathon or, setting like this.
I just want to pipe in with a quick donation. We have $1,000 from Stravaris.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Nice.
He doesn't want to say anything. He's just being a generous person, and he was even one of the hosts earlier in this marathon. So thanks not only for a donation, but also volunteering your time for this great event.
Yes, both very, very useful.
And that'll be the cutoff for Edward and Rydia.
So I hope you got your names in, because that's it. So back for another navigation with our hovercraft. One thing we are going to do with it is Rivers is going to park it very specifically on the left side of Kaipo, because as with how we left Kaipo the first time on the right side, we're going to do the opposite when we leave this time. We're going to leave on the left, and that'll put him right on top of the hovercraft, making sure he does not pick up any extra steps. Now, the little bit of inventory management that he did during the Antlion fight made sure that the Sand Ruby was right at the beginning of his inventory. Otherwise, you need to take a moment to look for it. Otherwise, you have fun giving Rosa things like cures and lives, which doesn't actually use up the item, but is a complete waste of time, and that's not something we're doing. We're speedrunning, guys. So during this cutscene's another chance to get another few donations in.
Sure thing. Do you want to know what Rydia and Edward are, or not until Naming Way?
Not until Naming Way. We've actually, just going to say, we've got a fight coming up here now.
Yeah, we're a couple of minutes away.
Yeah, you got about it. You can fit in probably 1, maybe 2 quick donations here before the next fight, and we'll let you know when we're ready for the names.
We have $80 from Penguinator, who says, "Good luck on the run, Rivers. Let's see Karate Master Kane. Also, supporting Berserk Rydia." We have $50 from Lush Daisy, who says, "I spent 11 years in Texas and definitely wanted to see us hit 200,000. Thanks for organizing this awesome weekend."
So now we are in the Water Hag fight, which when you're playing it casually is a really easy fight. You have a couple of levels on Edward, so it's not particularly threatening. But we don't have very many extra levels on Edward, so previously this fight was really kind of scary before we had dancing daggers, but now that we do, because of how accuracy and whatnot in this game works, because Edward is in the back row and has the dancing dagger equipped, he has this game's equivalent of 100% accuracy. So it's just a press A to win fight, easy peasy. No longer a scary fight that you want to save before. So 3 hits to that Water Hag, and it's toast. Probably fit in another donation here, and then we'll be ready for the names.
We have $100 from Casual Cheese, who just wanted to say, "Donating during one of my top 100 favorite Final Fantasy games. That Antlion fight was quite harrowing. Donation goes towards a Zeromus fist fight."
Okay, so I think we're about ready for those names. He'll be to Naming Way in just a moment.
Oh, we dodged him.
Oh, guys, I just want to note the NPCs in these games are the worst.
All right, we got the names. Give me Edward.
Edward is Spoonie at $590. In second was Robin at $552.
All right. And Rydia?
Rydia was quite close. Waifu was second at $411, but in the end, Bursk, all caps, won at $415.
All right.
Nice. As much as I wanted Waifu, as much as I did want Waifu to win.
Capital BERSK.
Rosa.
Oh, Rosa, right. Her name is in all caps ADAAAA. Now it is time to rename Rosa until the end of the run. So if you'd rather go for the second place name, Relief, or the third place name, Linka, or just another name entirely, there's still at least 2 hours to go.
And unfortunately, with the way this game plays out, the next opportunity to rename Rosa won't be for a while. But so that gives you plenty of time.
We'll definitely let you know before that cuts off again.
So coming up here, we have Mount Hobbs, and this is probably the first dangerous area of the speedrun. Octomom can be trolly and can stop a lot of going fast in a speedrun, but it's not necessarily dangerous. Here in the Mom Bomb fight coming up here, definitely the first, I would say, dangerous actual chance to die in the run if you get bad damage rolls. And Mom Bomb elects to target either Edward or Rydia, who are still the primary damage dealers. So it can be a little harrowing, and then there's also a couple of things coming up in these cutscenes where you have no control over if Yang decides he wants to be a boss, or if he wants to,
relax a little when he should be being a boss.
Yang wouldn't do that to me, man. Yang's good
he definitely
people.
wouldn't.
Just like Tella will never misstop.
Yep, exactly.
Starting off strong with a back attack. Good.
So this is actually one of the really dangerous things about Mount Hobbs, and one of the reasons why Rivers picked up the safety life here is those gray bombs in the back there. They can actually hit for over 100 on any of the Dancing Dagger characters. So it can be really a very dangerous thing if one of those people go down before the Mom Bomb fight, because without the life item, you don't have a way to resurrect anybody. So it's important to pick up the life if you're in a marathon setting, but in the interest of going fast, that's one thing you would skip.
Your menu of shame.
You win some, you lose some, Rivers.
Yep. So the reason he's making sure to cure here is because you don't have a lot of time to cure at the beginning of the Mom Bomb fight, and it is absolutely critical that by the second phase of Mom Bomb, that most, if not all of your characters are at full health. Otherwise, the explode it does will kill characters you desperately need alive. So this scripted fight can be as few as 3 turns and as many as 5 turns. And while it is certainly possible to manipulate it, it doesn't always happen. That can be a bit of a touch and go situation. So hopefully...
You did good, Yang. You did good.
Oh, he did good. 3 turns. We had faith in you. So Mom Bomb, the fight that's starting now, is 3 phases. So this first phase, he is going to be trying to doing 800 points of damage, which will trigger Mom Bomb's move into the second phase. He did run buffer at the beginning of the fight in order to try and miss one of the hits from Mom Bomb, because if Mom Bomb happens to hit either Rydia or Edward, as in Berserk or Spoonie, that could end very poorly. Taking a bit of a safety cure there with Rosa. But the big thing here, now that we're on phase 2, is we're waiting for Mom Bomb to say that she's exploding, and about 2 seconds afterwards, we send Yang off into a kick. What this will do is, once Mom Bomb transitions into the third phase, which is the 6 bombs, pretty shortly thereafter, Yang will kick all of them, and we're looking for the orange bomb, which takes the most damage, and that will be the one that he attacks with Rosa in order to try and finish it off. The gray bombs all have 100 hit points each, so we definitely want Rydia and Edward to be hitting them with the dancing daggers to try and one-shot them. Unfortunately, the kick did do really low damage to all of the orange bombs, so the aim did not, there was no way the aim was going to kill any of them. So, but it looks like we have made it out with everyone alive, so that is the ideal situation there. It doesn't matter specifically who does or doesn't die on the walk to Fabul as long as somebody makes it. And as long as Cecil has any amount of HP, it's a pretty safe walk.
So from this point onward, the encounters that you run into, they turn into like packs of like 6 enemies. So back attacks and surprise attacks in the course of a speed run, while they won't kill you, or they're at least unlikely to kill you, they do waste a ton of time, because for every surprise or back attack, each enemy you encounter gets to take a turn. And so it can be really frustrating when you're on a good time, and then all of a sudden, oh hey, here's this back attack with 6 enemies, and they're all going to get a turn.
Thankfully, that was, at least for on the mountain, the only encounter that Rivers should get, and he only should get 1 encounter on his walk to Fabul. So that is good for his walk. You can occasionally get a walk that has no encounters, but 1 is definitely pretty ideal.
Yeah, a big reason why we target these seeds at the very beginning of the game is because this particular walk to Fabul is really nice.
And as it is one of the longer walks that we have to do, the less encounters, the better. Though I am looking at your Manor Deals walk, and I'm so sorry, dude. Okay, so we have reached Fabul, which is another one of those really kind of clutch parts in this run. There is a lot which can go wrong because there's just so much happening. Then we're going to do a gauntlet of 6 fights, all of which are encoded as random encounters, even though the boss battle music is playing. This is important because you will only have 3 characters, one of them being Edward. Now, during boss battles, Edward will not automatically hide, which is one of the mechanics he has. However, in random encounters, if he gets down into critical HP, he will hide and you won't be able to use him. So that is where we have no curative items and no time in between to cure anybody. Everything that's happening during these fights is trying to ensure that Edward stays above critical HP, as he is our main damage dealer. So run buffering is something that's going to be used to great effect here, and that was a very awful start. 2 hits there. The run buffer didn't get off in time, I don't think. So it meant the fighters both got a hit off, both targeting Edward. Thankfully, they have the ability to just one-shot him, so thankfully they didn't. Though, if we have to choose between a hide word and a dead word, we tend to prefer a dead word as it saves time. You don't have to worry about dealing with Edward's menu and everything. So, even though that was an unfortunate start, that doesn't mean anything for the rest of the Fabul Gauntlet. We could go the rest of it totally fine. So let's just see how it plays out.
It's definitely not something you want to see early on.
No, it's not.
Edward is really important for these fights going forward.
Oh no! So that hide word we were talking about, well, at least he got his dancing dagger off before he goes to hide. But Rivers gets to spend the rest of the gauntlet basically just using Yang and Cecil.
These rolls, these are great.
Yeah, and the reason we talked about the Darkness Sword earlier and about how this is the last upgrade we're getting till after this fight, you're starting to see with some of the damage rolls we're getting out of Yang and Cecil why this was important. Because even with the Darkness Sword, sometimes Cecil's just like 12. You guys will die with 12 damage, right? Wrong, they really won't.
Really going to try to push through here, even though it's kind of against me. The odds are against me now because you want to keep the step route, but yeah.
Well, good news is there's no runs after this one, so...
Yeah. Plenty of time. And both Yang and Cecil do have quite a bit of HP, which can help, but as you can see from the fighter doing 69 damage on Yang, they can still do quite a bit of damage, so just have to hope everything goes well, get some good run buffers, and that everyone starts playing nice. Better damage rolls from Yang and Cecil, and less hits from the rest of our opponents. So there are, still 3 fights left. So, if we can make it to the last one, it's home free, or pretty home free. We'll see what the damage is like.
Yeah, this next fight is probably the most dangerous one. If Gargoyle gets enough turns, he likes to cast Weak, which will reduce a character down to single-digit hit points. So hopefully the damage rolls are high enough that we don't see that.
Sometimes Yang doesn't like to play well.
There we go.
Oh, that was closer than we would have liked to see, but thankfully, no problems. We're through. So the next 2 fights, we just have another Weeper fight and then another Soldier fight. So again, it's totally going to depend on these damage rolls, so we're really hoping for the good RNG.
The silver lining of this is that when Edward hides, it kind of works as the same as a run buffer, so you kind of have this action going on as you can confirm your action on Cecil, so that kind of works out a little bit.
It definitely does. So we're on the last fight here, so we should be okay. We'll see shortly. Those damage rolls, though. Oh, that was a very close one, but we're through at this point, which is really great. So there is one more fight technically, but it's a scripted fight where we want to die. So we're not at all worried. And the only unfortunate thing about this scripted fight coming up is your HP from the battles before does not carry through. So it's not of any benefit to have Cecil at a low damage or low HP heading in here, sadly. So this is a fight against Kane, and we can't really win it. So we're just it's the fastest thing we can do is to die. So the ideal situation here is that Kane is just going to, with one hit, get Cecil down into critical kill HP. But to help guarantee that at least in 2 hits we get there, we have Cecil attack himself. Thankfully, between the 2 hits, we did get Cecil down into critical, so we did skip some text. It is purely RNG, so had the RNG not been in our favor and we had not gotten Cecil down to critical in those 2 hits, we would have gotten some extra text, which is sad and a waste of time. So instead, we get to sit now and enjoy the wondrousness that is Golbez's music, and we can read off some more donations during this cutscene.
Will do. We have $50 from the Baltimore Anime Denizens. Our anime club is currently having a meetup and watching this final run of HRDQ and wanted to donate to show our admiration for GDQ's ridiculously awesome ability to put together another event so quickly. We all love you for everything you do. Thank you for making the world a better place. We have $5 from I Melt No Wet Ham. Final Fantasy IV is the game that got me into RPGs when I was a kid, and it's great seeing it as the last run for this amazing charity event. My donation goes to naming Edge Wedgie because my sense of humor has not matured since the day I first picked up this game about 20 years ago.
RBs, RBs, RBs. I mean, I'm totally impartial.
Completely and totally. So one of the things that Rivers is going to be doing now is we are once again inside a castle, so that means all of his steps count. And part of the particular step route he's on has him taking 7 optional steps. So rather than walking back and forth to get those steps, he is going to walk in a very particular route to, in a way which will pick him up those extra steps. So you saw that he walked on the rug in the king's room, in the throne room, in a particular way, and that was to pick up some steps. So the way he's walking through Fabul here do get him his extra steps, so that will be excellent, and we'll dodge a few more enemies, which he's going to need, as is on his next big walk to the next big plot point. He has a lot of fights, so we want to dodge any we can. So, talk to the king. He gave us a random dark sword that he just had lying around, because that's what kings have lying around. And next up, we head to the boat. The general idea for our party here is they are going to head to Baron, get an airship, and save the day. We're going to see how well that works.
About right. That's about right.
Yeah, okay, no, there weren't any optional steps I saw in Fabul. Oh.
So while our boat adventures are going down, probably a good time for more donations.
Yes.
Sure thing. Speaking of Arby's, this donation came a little earlier, but it's from Exodin, or Jason Lynch, who says, $50? Good luck with the run, Rivers. I'm sure with all this extra character naming, sub 3 should be absolutely no problem. Since we no longer love Edge, here's my contribution to beefing up Edge as best we can by renaming him Arby's.
Nice. Thanks, Exodin.
Here's another slightly older donation from Mala for $15. I already donated $45, but after seeing that one incentive for Edward to be named Spoonie, I just had to give some more. Shout out to the Spoonie one and all the awesome runners in this event. Awesome Games Organized Quick is now a thing. Greetings from Leipzig, Germany, the partner city of Houston. Never have greetings from Germany been so topical. Now I have $20 from KezFX. Wait, we're on Final Fantasy IV already? Is the end of this event already near? With the craziness of La Tuna Fire, I almost missed my chance to donate. It isn't much, but every little bit counts. So true. Thank you so much, Games Done Quick and Support Class, for putting this event together so quickly, and thank you to the streamers for donating their time and awesomeness with these speedruns. The heart of this community is so big and amazing. Heart, heart, heart. We have $100 from an anonymous donor. Happy to donate to great cause. Thank you, GDQ, for organizing this event. They'll provide food for the many in need. And we have $140 from another anonymous donor. No comment. $100 from yet another anonymous donor. Thanks to all the runners, coordinators, and donors for their quick and generous response to Houston. $50 from Corrosive Frost. Much respect to the GDQ staff, volunteers, and runners for putting together this spontaneous effort to help those in need. You'll like this one. We have $75 from F. Coughlin. It says, Rivers, I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. Surely you can trash Mylon Z.
Thanks, Fred. I'm sure that'll go swimmingly given how this has gone so far.
There's no way that could possibly go wrong. So now that we've finally gotten through that next set of cutscenes, it is time to go shopping. And we want to get enough items to kind of last us, if not until the end of the run, at least until the point where we can buy us some elixirs. So with the item duplication glitch we did at the beginning, we have plenty of money. So we just buy 70 of the items we need, which tends to be Cure 2, Life, Heal, and Ethers. And that will set us up very nicely for the rest of it. And it is time now to pick up everyone's favorite twins. Once we're through this next cutscene, which isn't very long, Rivers will be picking up some armor, and then it'll be time for our next long walk to Mount Ordeals, where the idea is our nice Dark Knight here will eventually become a paladin or die trying. You can guess which option we would prefer.
It's really kind of messed up because they're like, yeah, we're going to send them off to this mountain full of zombies. Yeah, that'll show them.
Oh, and take these 2 5-year-olds. There's no way that could go poorly for these 2 poor small children.
Yeah, during the Paladin tourney, a lot of us hypothesized the Elder just wanted to get rid of those 2 kids.
Yeah.
They were just bugging them a little bit too much.
So one of the places where you can sometimes see runners taking extra steps is actually on the world map here, right before the point where Rivers is right now, because right where he's passing now, the encounter rate actually changes to something higher on the map. So occasionally, just to dodge an encounter or 2, you have some extra steps. But one of the unfortunate parts about the seed he's on is he has 6 encounters on his way to Mount Ordeals. So get used to seeing ravens. We have 5 of them.
That's so Raven.
No, get out of here.
Yeah, fired. Sick, game over. I also want to note, I believe we're not even quite halfway to our donation incentive to have Kane fight the last boss spearless. So keep on donating, guys.
That works out.
So for the walk to Mylon and Mylon Z, the actual ideal thing to have happen is to have Porum take damage. Obviously, you don't want that to happen. Like, if you're going to have a back attack, you want it to be a very quick one. And then if she takes enough damage, what we're going to do later on is actually kill her off in the actual boss fight itself to set up a glitch. And so to have her at low health is actually super ideal. So.
Yeah, and due to the nature of the kind of glitches that he's going to be doing, they can go very, very wrong very quickly. So he did actually do a safety save there for marathon safety, just in case. Doing the save there means he doesn't throw off his step route if everything goes correctly and he gets through the fights. But we want to show you the cool mimic glitch, fighting both Mylon and Mylon Z. So best way to do that and not have to restart from the very beginning. So yeah, as Neerrm was mentioning, you do want to get Porum down to a low HP, or dead if possible, as part of the glitch is to kill her off in order to trap Palom, the other twin, into a mimic state. So allowing him to copy the actions of the person before him in the turn order, which as we'll do it will be Cecil. We will then have him, Cecil half use an item, and then instead swap that item with the carrot for the first fight, and then trash can for the second, and then he will be stopped by Tella, and that will end his turn without having to actually do anything. As such, Palom will just remember that item and will try and throw it. And for some reason, some of the items in this game are just tied to the magic table, so they're associated with certain spells when used in this manner. Carrot is, I believe, 8 times fire 3, while trash can is 8 times white, which is holy. So it is does an extraordinary amount of damage to these upcoming bosses.
And this upcoming glitch is something that was in the tool-assisted run for a long time. but after we had originally thought like it wasn't possible to do in real time, but after a lot of work and a lot of fine tuning, we were able to execute this in real time. But unfortunately, there is a bit of randomness to this. There's a number of things that can go wrong. I'm not going to say any of them because if I say them, they happen.
Yeah.
So we're just going to watch and see, and hopefully everything goes well here.
Exactly. How could it, be beautiful. So we once again have picked up everyone's favorite old dude, and by favorite old dude, I mean second favorite old dude, because, Fusoya. And now we just have a hopefully fairly short walk to our next set of bosses. And actually, this is our last encounter before our next set of bosses. And a decent walk back down the mountain. So now Rivers will be able to do his preparation for the fight, either bringing people back, fully curing others, and equipping them with the things he purchased. So gonna see what he does here.
And timing for this is incredibly tight. There's so many things can go wrong. So hopefully he's able to pull it off. Rivers is by and large either number 1 or number 2 runner of this game, so I have full confidence in him.
Absolutely. So gonna start off by killing off one of them and one of the ghasts, and then Palom setting up to kill off Porum. If the timings are done correct, she will have had time to start the twin cast, but to initiate it, which will put Palom into his mimic status. Bringing her back to life as Tella has won't cancel that until they try and do actually try and initiate a twin cast again. So we will see here now shortly whether Palom has been successfully put into a mimic status. If he throws a Cure 2, like he does, he is, so that's good. Rivers is going to proceed with the rest of the strategy. So Tella is, he waited a moment before doing it and set Tella up to cast Stop. And he's doing some run buffering to kind of get some time set up. And now he's going to half use Cure 2 and swap it with Carrot. And so see what happens. Stop goes off correctly, and now Palom should throw the Carrot at Mylon, doing a lot of damage. Mylon dead. So of the two, the Mimic glitch is the same for both of these fights, except the implementation of it in this fight, the Mylon fight, is by and far much more difficult than for doing it for Mylon Z. Not to say it can go perfectly with Mylon Z, but it tends, if one is going to go wrong, it very often is the Carrot strat you just saw, and Rivers did it perfectly. So what he did is he swapped Tella and Porum, swapped their positions, and changed their rows, as Mylon Z is always a back attack.
So it's a little bit of the same here. You do have to kind of wait a little bit and try to keep Palom alive, because Mylon Z does do a lot of damage here. So it's hopefully he survives the 2 or 3 turns that Mylon gets before Palom does what he has to do. But so far so good on Rivers' side here.
Yeah, and you see him curing up Palom there, because all the messages in this battle stay up for much longer than usual, even with your message speed at 1. So the last thing you want throwing off your timings is a poison message coming up. You see there by that poison, it stays up for ages. Perfect. So since he got that done, Trash Can got thrown, Mylon Z is dead. Now he's got a lot of Mylon Z is dying time to rearrange his inventory.
Well done, Rivers.
So perfect, beautiful. We had complete faith he would do it, but sometimes FF4 just likes to troll. So that was the Mimic glitch you saw, otherwise known as Carrot and Trash Can. Very precise, very well done by Rivers.
Easy every time.
Easy every time. So yes, by throwing the trash can as Rivers has, it does mean he can't throw out items anymore. But we'll be honest here, he really wasn't going to throw out any items anyways. The strategy here is to just chuck items right to the bottom of his inventory and ignore them. So that's what everyone does with their unwanted items, right? So. And Cecil has successfully, to the doubt of the Elder, become a paladin. But to finish proving it, he must fight himself in one-on-one combat. Now, usually the point of this battle in casual is to not fight and to prove you're a good person, you don't have to fight to win things, blah blah blah. But as it turns out, in this version of the game, the Dark Knight only has 1000 HP, and Paladin Cecil can use dancing daggers. So with that beautiful combination, in 3 or 4 hits, we can actually just outright kill Dark Knight Cecil and skip all the extra text about being a good person and fighting not being the way, and who knows, we don't read it.
He really wanted to go for 5 there.
He really tried it. Very rarely you can get the 5 hit if the damage rolls are low enough. And now, actually, now's probably a good time to read out a few more donations while we hear about being a paladin in Medio.
Time on Paladin.
Yeah, time, paladin time. What is your clock right now?
I'm not running one.
Awesome.
And I do believe we are going to cut off Yang, Tela, Palom, and Porum, all 4 of them, once we get back to Mysitica.
Yeah. River's comment there is because one of our semi-categories, more of a meme category that we ran a tournament for earlier this year is called Paladin Percent, and it ends, timer ends as soon as you get the message saying that Cecil is a Paladin. So for those who are interested in getting started speedrunning this game, it is a really accessible run. You don't even need to learn Carrot and Trash Can if those seem too complicated. There's lots of alternate strats, and it's a lot of fun to learn. So now's a good time for donations.
Sure thing. We have $100 from Gesellschaft saying playing on Super Famicom, any percent no64. What about GameCube? Love you all. Tehepelo. We have $20 from Eldonia. Cecil's actual last name is Harvey. How has nobody donated to name him Harvey yet? Good luck, Rivers. Sub 3 is alive. We have $100 from Anonymous. Thank you for organizing this on such short notice. I had no clue this was going on, but I'm glad to help you out. We have $100 from TS. Hey Rivers, super proud of you and psyched to watch you take this run down. Putting this donation toward Arby's, because I'm still bitter about when we lost out on Arby's at the last minute at AGDQ 2016. Good luck!
Yeah, don't worry. We will punish Cecil for dramatically over the course of this run.
Yes, we will.
We have $10 from Not Felix the Cat. These old school RPG runs are absolutely amazing, but what is more amazing is how quickly this event was organized. Let's get it up to 200,000. Speaking of that, we're less than 1.5k away, so looks like we're going to make it. But remember, we won't make it unless if you guys donate. We have $150 from Anonymous with no message. And $10 from another anonymous donor saying, hang in there, Houston. $50 from Chris99. Thanks for putting this together so quickly. Happy to donate to a good cause.
Was that good, Neerrm?
Look good.
So one of the things we do for our other any percent run, no CW, is what side of the screen the chocobo leaves on is actually really extraordinarily important and relevant. So that was what's being referenced there. Thankfully, we don't care about that in this run. There's many things we actually don't care about in this version of the run, such as reading this legend again. Definitely donation times, though those names incentives should be cut off by now if they haven't already.
Okay. We have $50 from Orbital Bear, who says, GDQ says, "Speedrunners assemble!" And it happens. While we all hope it never has to happen again, it's good to know that we can come together as a community, even those of us at the fringes who are just entertained to combat tragedy. We have $25 from Keith XK. My wife and I were recently blessed with a beautiful little girl, but there are so many who need blessings now, and GDQ is one of the finest things gamers do. I'm so proud to help contribute to this effort for the people of Houston. $10 from Cafe Babe. This is the first GDQ event I've been able to watch live and donate to, even though I've been watching archive videos since AGDQ 2014. I'm so super impressed with how quickly the community pulled this event together. Great work on everyone's part. The runs have been awesome so far, and I'm hoping to catch more live streams in the future.
Just want to quickly insert those couple of extra steps that Rivers took in the Serpent Road was part of the step route. From here on, he just has weird steps all over the place, like 1 step here, 3 steps there. So you're not going to see a huge amount of him walking in place for the rest of the run, but there's still some left.
Whoa, that guy got out of the way. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Wow. Your run has been blessed. So another 2 fights coming up here. We are going to fight 2 soldiers and then Yang. The soldiers we just want to kill as fast as possible, and the best way is with dancing daggers, with both Cecil and Palom if possible. Palom often gets 1 shot in this fight though, so if that's the case, then you just hit him twice with Cecil. The second fight is against Yang, and unfortunately this one's a bit of a scripted fight, so he will get 2 kicks off and there's nothing you can do. The fight will not end, and you can't even damage Yang until then. But as soon as the second kick has happened, you can then attack with Cecil. As long as it's a regular attack, it doesn't matter whether it hits, it doesn't matter whether it misses. You just have to attack, and script triggered, fight is over.
You actually can damage him, by the way. He just has a 4,000 plus, I think.
That's what I mean. You can damage him, but you really can't finish it.
Yeah, so. I know at one point Neerrm was trying to throw an extra carrot at Yang or something, but ended up being just a little bit slower.
I forgot about that.
That would have been that's one of the swag strats. So, turns out our poor Yang was being brainwashed. Oh, no, Ghost Girl. So that NPC, and really any of the NPCs here in the inn, as soon as you finish Yang and start moving, they just get frozen in spot. So if they happen to be in the position where you're going to walk through, you literally just walk through her. So we refer to her as Ghost Girl. So we can probably fit in a couple more donations here while we're getting Jafar's Scepter. Baron Key, I mean.
And we have $10 from Mike Sky 64. Just doing what I can to help out the people of Texas.
And actually, I think we're going to be ready for those names here now-ish, Rivers?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure. So it's Palom, Porum, Tella, and Yang, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
So Palom first.
Let me just check. I think I know his name, but there we have. Palom's name is Porum.
Of course it is. Because we don't mix those guys up enough as is.
Yeah, exactly. And Porum's name is Palom.
Yes. If it's gonna be one, it's gotta be both, or it's just not
exactly.
All right.
And then Tella's name is Old Man. Capital O, capital M.
All right. And Yang's name
is Josh. It's a very monk-like name.
Good to have you in the party, Josh. I'm sure you'll be very useful.
Very plain name.
Now, one of the problems we have in kind of the early run is that Tella can be worse than useless because of his chance of missing spells. But now that he's learned Medio, Tella abruptly becomes one of the more useful characters in the run while we have him. So we are definitely going to greatly abuse some of the abilities Tella now possesses. So we're going to see the first instance of that in our next boss fight, which is coming up as soon as we're through this cave.
And also the Baron armor and weapon shop, the armor that he bought there, the headband and karate, gives a bonus to the strength stat, which provides it's basically endgame armor for the speed run, just because of the strength bonuses. And then the weapons that Rivers bought were all elemental, with the exception of the Thunder Rod, which we just used for the magic stat. So Yang's attacks, the weapons he can equip, except for like one, don't actually have any attack stat. He just gets elements on his claws, so it's just a matter of what element do I want to use against which enemy.
Yeah, and it means, so often in our other run, the no CW run, there's a point where we do unequip one of his claws in order to duplicate it, and sometimes if you don't have time, we don't bother to put it on the other hand. So his attack doesn't change, but his accuracy does. So if all possible, you definitely want to have those claws on him, even though it doesn't affect his damage. You never want to be in the position to hit less than you already do. So thankfully, this is not a very long walk through our wonderful secret passage to be super sneaky into Baron Castle, and here we are. Voila!
Yeah, that walk can actually be one of the nastier walks. One of the encounters you saw with like the alligators is probably one of the worst back attacks you can get in the game. And then there's also just a number of other formations that are really bad. What you saw Rivers do right there, he has Boomerang 06 MP right there. What he did was he cast a spell that he did not have enough MP to cast by moving the cursor and pressing A at the same time. And what that does is it underflows Tella's maximum magic points. And so now Tella has this infinite reserve of magic power, and that's going to come in handy.
It very much so is. Rather than being trapped...
If only there were a spell that Tella knows cast.
Because it's not like he usually only has exactly 90 MP usually. So yes, we definitely use this to great advantage. But thankfully, we're getting our next party member. You should all donate to name our newest character, Baigan. Best character in the game.
It's a trap.
Don't do it. Because as it turns out, he doesn't smell quite right, and it turns out he is our next boss. And he can also be a bit nasty here, and you're going to see some interesting things happening in this fight. One of them being, we're not particularly fighting Baigan, we're attacking some of our party members. The reason for this is from here on in, we're doing some very particular experience routing. So we have some characters who we have picked up previously, but who are not currently in our party, and they're in a shadow party. So they are still gaining experience, even though they're not with us. So very specifically, we are trying to make sure Kane has enough experience to be at level 19 when we do eventually get him back. And here we go, for those who ever wanted to see it, we have Old Man casting Meteo. So this is where he becomes extraordinarily useful, because now that he has underflowed MP, we can, other than the time it takes to wait for the spell to cast, we can use Meteo as much as we want. It's not always the most effective spell to use, but it's available to us.
Excuse me, I just want to interrupt here for a second, because
Oh,
we have hit $200,000.
Woo! Congratulations.
That's a really awesome thing.
TV.
Yeah.
Big money, big prizes. I love it.
And you know who else loves this amount of money? We're using this amount of money to defeat our next boss, Kainazo, who is the Fiend of Water. He is our ultimate boss for this run.
Ooh. Missed the skill.
So what Rivers was trying to set up there is to kill Kainazo before he had a chance to use his ability called Wave. And it sounds like he did not get the timings quite right, so it won't work out. What he was trying to do as well is get hits in from both Cecil and Yang on Kainazo, because the next spell we're doing is Lit 3 with Kainazo, which, because Tella is Tella, occasionally does not do enough damage to kill him. Thankfully, we rolled well, and even though it was a lower roll, it was still enough to kill Kainazo. Super easy. Yang got his turn to be dead this time as part of the experience route, and unlike our other any percent route, no CW, there are some fights where we want to leave Yang alive, because we also need to make sure that he is at a certain level for future fights. Level 17 specifically, I believe, around there. But now we get...
might be level 16 when we get there. It's kind of unfortunate, but in that fight normally what happens when Porum gets sniped is you rejoice, but since we switched names and Balam was the one who got sniped, actually was really bad for both the ATB of the fight and the experience route.
Yeah, as we usually want him dead for Baigen. But that's okay. Hopefully it'll work out. Unless Neerrm has something to say right here, I think this is a great time for more donations.
Go for it.
Because there's a lot of cutscenes.
Will do. I first want to mention a $25 donation from Joe Merkel. So proud of GDQ. You are all amazing. Shout out to my grandson, Cool Maddie. For those of you who don't know, Cool Maddie has been doing the tech behind the scenes for this marathon. He's also the one who organized this marathon in about 2 days, so he deserves a huge shout out for being such an awesome guy.
You're here.
And so Palom and Porum, who we just named Porum and Palom, are gone. We missed them already.
Bible thump.
Stone thump. We have... is it still a good time to go through donations?
Oh, yes,
such
please.
long cutscenes. Okay. We have $100 from an anonymous donor. Final Fantasy 2 or 4 had set the bar so high for future RPGs to come. It will always be one of my favorites. Love watching you crush it. Was that a carrot that got thrown? Big kudos to the entire AGDQ community for working to support such a great cause. Way to make the best of a bad situation. You guys rock. We have $100 from Gary. So cool to see a GDQ put together this event on such short notice. I hope this a little bit helps. We have $50 from Miss Messoian, who says, Spoon Man hides from battle when he can. Spoon Man!
That he does.
We have $100 from Door Inspector. Thanks to everyone at GDQ for putting on this special event for helping out the people of Houston. Keep up the good work. We have $20 from Anonymous Donor. It's really great that GDQ managed to put this together impromptu for those in need of relief after Harvey hit. Keep up the good work. $25 from Jonatron. At home, watching my son today. Happy to have something so excellent to watch and a cause so excellent to support. $100 from Anonymous, who says, my fiance and I got into watching speedruns during the last SGDQ. We're happy to support the Harvey Relief effort. Big shout out to those affected by the hurricane. Stay strong, we got your back.
Now, one thing I want to note about these particular cutscenes happening here is what was mentioned at the very beginning of the run, which is you can mash through text with any of the buttons. The one button you don't want to use during this cutscene to mash is the X button, which is also the menu button. If you are mashing with X and happen to hit on just the right frame when this cutscene ends, you actually can soft lock the game, which for obvious reasons is not ideal. So please be careful where you mash with X.
Nice MLG, sir.
So, and parking, worst part of the game, and he made it look easy. So now we have reached Toroya, where usually you would go and talk to the priestesses and be told that the earth crystal has been stolen, but turns out that's not actually our plot trigger. Our plot trigger is talking to our poor Bedward here. Turns out our last member of the crew who got shipwrecked came all the way over here and has been sleeping.
Yeah. So if you don't talk to Edward, you go all the way to the Dark Elf, and he just annihilates you with 999, and you just die. So it's really unfortunate. And one other thing to point out, you are doing frog manipulation. That looks good.
I tried. I messed it up.
Oh. So one thing you could do there is one of the next things you have to do in the run is to grab a black chocobo, and in order to determine the specific place the black chocobo is going to be, instead of running around trying to catch it and wasting time, you can actually watch the frog NPCs. This is a manipulation that myself 086 came up with, and by noting what direction the frogs walk as you're walking through the castle of Troya, you can figure out where the black chocobo is going to be. But we get to see Rivers try his luck here.
Yeah,
fumble around in the darkness.
Yeah, this is true RNG here, where you're just like, please let the black chocobo not lead me around for ages. So much fun, and hope you don't. When you're doing the other any percent run, you don't want to get a yellow chocobo because you could ruin your earlier chocobo manipulation. So, thankfully here that would just waste time. Oh, that was a great one.
If only that guy showed up every time.
Yeah, really.
But I doubt we're going to get trolled in here, but I'm going to save.
Yeah,
I'd just like to mention one donation. I think this is the person who put it at $200,000. We have $1,500 from David Pittman. All my love and prayers to the communities impacted by Hurricane Harvey, and a huge thanks to the fantastic runners and volunteers who made this event happen. Well, thank you very much, David. You're awesome. And in the immortal words of Breakdown, back when he used to host, you are the man.
That's an incredible donation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're just taking a walk here. What's important about this particular cave is it is set up so you're not supposed to be wearing any metal armor. And if you do, you are paralyzed. So the only person right now who is not paralyzed in these battles is Sid, as he is still in the equipment we got him in, which is like a wooden hammer and a prisoner's clothes. So, you have to make sure he does not die, otherwise you can't actually run from battle because Yang is dead and the other two characters are paralyzed. So that's going to become especially relevant just before the Dark Elf fight, as we're going to do a bit of manipulation and trickery of the system, not an actual glitch, but just knowing how the system works to make that battle go faster. But for now, we get the bat back attacks.
Big bat, big bat, big bat.
So what's unfortunate about these back attacks is, as you can see, the bats have an ability called Vampire, which drains your hit points. And the animation for all of those is just a huge waste of time. So thankfully, knock on wood, it wasn't the 6 bat back attack, but it was only 3. But there are a couple of nasty formations in here that can really waste you a lot of time.
Yeah, most of the worst back attacks are simply because they are the ones that the animation times just take forever. There are some which are bad because of damage, but a lot of them it's just because they take forever to get out of. And those bats are one such example. So we are just reaching the right before our next battle, and in the menu we are seeing Rivers is putting the iron glove onto Sid, which we had taken from Kane earlier, and he's shuffling around his party order specifically for this fight coming up. Now, the reason we are equipping metal on our last person is so we're not even giving Dark Elf a chance to fight. We're all paralyzed. The game sees that, so we are stun locked. But we want to be, because the battle immediately ends. We are perished. So now we just jump right to our next cutscene. And
if I can jump in as a reminder, after this fight, we're cutting off Sid, the name Sid. So keep those in.
You want something cool for Sid? Not too much longer. So instead, we're going to watch Edward play his harp for a bit. And as we have heard rumors of, Dark Elf hates music. Really hates music. So what happens here is you back off, you get a chance to, you're fully healed because of the cutscene, but you get a chance to do any menuing or stuff you want to do. But we've already done that. Rivers is ready to go. So as soon as the party picks themselves up and are motivated to go, we are straight into the next boss battle, which is the Dark Elf. So with this fight, immediately with everyone but Sid, with everyone, we're going to attack the Dark Elf, trying to get as much damage as we can done on him. And once
there's a backup.
Okay. And Tella is going to cast Virus on Sid in order to kill him. And we do this again to experience route for our shadow party. We don't need Sid later, but we do need that experience to go to Kane. So everyone else, providing everything goes right, should stay alive for the rest of this fight. And what we're ideally trying to do here is Dark Elf changes to his second form, which is a Shadow Dragon. And for some reason, when he changes into this form, he does not have the usual boss flag, which makes him immune to weak. So we have telecast weak on him, and then we just one-shot kill him with one hit. Easy peasy. Dark Elf dead.
That was a good recovery there. So normally what you want to have happen is Cecil and Yang will both get their turns before Dark Elf does anything. But Rivers was able to run buffer and recover nicely there.
So I'm a little late with this donation, but we have a donation from the Dark Elf himself for $12.34. Rivers, good luck. What is your view on pants?
Hate them.
It's the same as Dark Elf. Dark Elf hates pants. Fizz, you're 100% correct. You don't need to breathe when you're commentating. It's overrated. So with that done, we earlier used an ether to turn off the MP underflow, because while it's wonderful and gives Tella tons of MP, it can only be used in battle. He cannot use magic at that point out of battle. So there are times for speed we need to remove it using an ether, and but we will be seeing that again.
Sid's name.
Yep.
Is now a good time for donations?
Sid's name.
Oh, sorry.
Now we need Sid's name.
Sorry, I was a little mixed up. Sid's name is Radix at $300. That is R, capital R, ADIX.
Radix. Okay, got him. Truly the usefulest character in the run.
He can be useful. You just gotta get him stuff that's completely out of the way.
Which, for obvious reasons, we don't. He's useful by not being alive. That's useful. Kane appreciates that effort. And yeah, you should be able to fit in a couple donations here.
Yep. Go for it.
Sure thing. We have a $10 anonymous donation. My prayers go out to all of those affected in Houston by Harvey. The fact that this event was organized so quickly is amazing and shows us that gamers can band together and help those in need. We have $50 from Neerrm. As a Houstonian, it means a lot to me and my wife that this event was set up so quickly and showing off what gamers can do when we come together. Thanks for all the love and support from the runners and organizers. We have $50 from John Swift, who just wants to say Ray is going cakeless and spearless. $40 from Sunflash. Don't have a lot to spare, but take what the wife and I can spare. Greetings from the Cleft of Dimensions. $20 from Aruic Zero, donating for my close friends down in Houston and everyone else affected by this terrible event. Great job on pulling off the mini marathon, GDQ. Very impressive and heartwarming.
Okay, so now that we are in Tower of Zot, this is a very brutal place for back attacks. There are actually, for the next couple of places, we have a lot of back attacks coming, and just the more of them we get, the worse it is. They're mean enemies, big packs, lots of damage. So we're kind of hoping and praying we get as few back attacks as possible, but for the next little while, they are likely going to be common.
I'm sorry, did you say something about a back attack?
Yeah, you're welcome. I saved it just for you.
So coming up here, we have a fight. River's actually going to open up a treasure chest and fight a monster inside a chest to get the fire sword. And that fight is actually really, really scary. If you're prepared for it and everything goes okay, it's fine. But if anything goes awry, things can spiral out of control very quickly. And a lot of runs have been lost to this fight. But the fire sword's worth it.
Yeah, definitely not worth it to leave behind. And yeah, as Neerrm says, so many runs have been lost to this fight. You wouldn't think it, but yeah, it is quite difficult. And so one of the strategies we see Cecil using a lot here is covering different characters, mostly Tella. And what that does is it ensures that any single attack that was aimed at Tella will hit Cecil instead, whether Tella is in low HP or not. So we use this to great effect when all we need Cecil for is to be a meat shield and we just need Tella to not get hit. So once again, putting in our MP Underflow because we are done with just using regular magic. And something Rivers did during that is he did a half item dupe, which allowed him to duplicate that fire sword into 2, which is going to be very useful a few fights from now when we fight a boss which is we want to get done quick and who's weak to fire. So you don't necessarily have to duplicate that sword if it doesn't quite work out, but it definitely saves a lot of time and makes things safer if you can manage.
So thankfully, thanks to the power of Old Man, the upcoming fight is pretty simple. The most important thing to do in the upcoming fight is to make sure you have your experience where you want it to be. So you'll probably see Rivers kill Josh off at least, and probably maybe even have Tella solo. I'm not entirely sure where his route's at. With Yang survived a couple of extra fights there, so it was a little awkward.
I think we're okay.
All right, from the man himself.
Yeah, some of these fights can have pretty interesting backups depending on what experience you either need to get or just if the bosses decide to be not very nice. Which is not something they would ever do in this game, ever.
Ooh. That would be risking it, yeah.
Yeah, now another reason these back attacks can get pretty scary is if you are low HP at all, they can just outright kill you. So you kind of have to be watching your health at the same time. But thankfully, not an issue, and getting ready for our next boss. Not bothering to cure up Yang, because I believe we want him dead at the end of this fight. Unless that is changing.
No, he's gonna die.
Excellent. So I hope you guys really enjoyed watching Tella using Meteo, because this is a really great time to see it. So that again is the main strategy for this fight. Cecil covers Tella, inventory management, make sure Yang is dead, make sure Tella is alive, and Meteo the sisters, who depending on ATB can be rather not very nice, but so far so good. And there we go.
The thing you have to watch out for in this fight is the sisters double targeting Tella. That's usually the only problem you'll run into in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's probably one of the most simple fights in the run. And
Absolutely.
So coming up here, we've got a rather long cutscene. So if you want to get in quite a few donations, now would be the time.
Yeah, you guys can talk to the chair.
We have $50 from Farian Felshard, who says, I used to work for Arby's. This is a no-brainer. As long as he isn't forced to wear that creepy old Arby's mascot. Shard Warband represent. Now, just as an update, you will be able to rename Rosa if you want. ADAAAA in all caps is still winning, but Relief is not too far behind at $165.
And don't we all want some relief?
Exactly. And Spearless Zeromus is a little over 2/3 of the way through at $6,789.01 out of $10,000. So if you want to see some Kung Fu Kane, we're almost there.
And there's nothing more exciting, guys, than watching Kane just punching an interdimensional being, the final boss. It's pretty cool. And guys, get your Bible thumps ready. Because as the game has warned us all along, and we proved many times was a lie, eventually the lie had to become truth. And Hela was too weak to cast Meteo without dying.
Yeah, it's a third Meteo cast to get you.
Yeah. First two are totally fine. They're the freebies. But third time, not the charm in this case. So, Golbez has a moment, decides, nah, I don't like moments, and continues on. But we lose Tella, we get Kane, and we're also going to get Rosa. So I consider that a bit of a win-win. As much fun as it would be to have Meteo for a while. So you can probably get some more donations in here.
$100 from Eshwin, who wants to say, what a great way to finish an impromptu event. Many thanks to all the runners who stepped up with great runs and great attitudes. 200K hype. We have $100 from Anonymous, who says, thank you for organizing this on such short notice. I had no clue this was going on, but I'm glad to help out. $50 from Vet Dad, who says, big shout out to Games Done Quick from Vet Dad and his gaming kids and understanding wife. Thanks for helping the wonderful people affected by Harvey.
2 characters, 1 tile.
Oh my.
This is where the run gets truly racy.
I don't know if this is complying with Nintendo standards here.
Yeah. They had to censor out the blade, which was originally there to destroy Rosa, change it with a cannonball. I don't think they thought about that too much. If you think about, the consequences of either of those weapons, but
yeah, because being crushed by a giant ball, so much less violent.
Better. Yes, so much better. So, what's really important coming up here now is our next fight is against Valvalis, and as soon as we take even one step forward, that battle triggers. So you need to make sure as soon as you get control again to cure up your characters and to equip them, especially Kane, as he is your star for this fight.
This is one of the more intensive battles in the run.
It
is.
A
lot of precise inputs.
And when done correctly, it looks amazing. But yeah, it is really precise, and you don't want to risk anything that you don't have to. So you see, we didn't worry about really curing up everybody, and that's because one of Cecil's main jobs in this fight is he's just going to use his default paladin ability of taking hits for those who are low HP. So the main strategy here is we are going to have Kane jumping at Val. The first 2 turns of Rosa, she is going to be using slow in order to slow Val down a bit to work with our turn order. And everybody else is either going to be hitting Val, or every second turn, some of them are going to be parrying in order to align with her tornado, where you do not want to attack.
And there are some really quirky things about this fight. That second slow that Rivers just did was actually you have to slow down on the inputs in order for the turn order to work out the way you want it to. If you confirm that slow too fast, the turn order actually changes and it messes everything up. So This fight is super duper optimized, and Rivers is doing a very good job of displaying it.
These damage rolls, though, these are great. Oy.
Don't always work out well for you. So as you see, we do still have Cecil using dancing daggers. We're going to see him bouncing back and forth between dancing daggers and other weapons between these boss fights, because sometimes you just want the speed and the damage he's doing with those dancing daggers, but other times you want actual damage.
So Corpus's jumps can do anywhere from about 750 to anywhere in the thousands. So almost all of the jump values we've seen have been awful. That's no fault of Rivers. It's just how it's playing out.
Well, there you go.
Oh, that was a beautiful hit. I was waiting for the message which happens. You don't get any counterattack, but the message that comes up when you attack Tornado Val is Kane, jump, and it just comes up super fast. And it's just like the game screaming at you, being like, no, don't hit her. Jump, come on. But
I've probably done that fight like maybe 100, 200 times by now. That's only the second time I haven't seen her dead by that tornado phase. So yeah, those are some really, really sad rolls.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, even if you know the inputs and the turn orders and everything really well, you still need to know the backups in case you get those awful damage rolls. So as we're getting some more cutscenes for a little bit, I think it's a good time for some more donations.
$10 from Diaho, who says, I feel like my weekend got back attacked by GDQ.
That is accurate, but in such a good way.
But you're holding the dwarf back, so that's important. You still got control.
$5 from Meridia Mist, saying Final Fantasy IV is the game that kept me alive. It's good to see it give hope to other people as well. We have $25 from Tranquilo Queen, who says, oh man, I really hope we make this incentive. Things are looking good because we're less than $2,500 away, so
guys, there's
pretty
about
confident we
an
can
hour
make the incentive.
So you can do it, guys. Get us that one last 1,000, and you'll get to see Kane punch the final boss.
$100 from Soulmass. This is for all our friends and fans in Texas who need help. Don't you dare go hollow. Thank you to JDQ for putting this weekend together on such short notice and supporting a great cause as always. Sorry, I just really wanted to hear the well.
Yeah, it makes such a great noise.
We have $20 from JP the Third. Thank you so much for all the good you guys do. I'm always impressed by the speedrunning community, but especially so when they're putting their talents to good use like this. Thanks again! $25 from Lord Nightmare. Needed to donate during this marathon, which was put together surprisingly fast for a noble cause.
So, this is around the point where we are getting near the end of our other any percent route, the no credit warp run, the no CW run. What would happen if we were doing that run, which is, you're going to see the difference here and why this is called no64, is the next place we're going is we're going to enter the dwarf castle. And what we would immediately do is we would walk up and down stairs 63 times, setting up for a glitch where walking up those stairs 64 times will just totally glitch out the map system and allow us to skip the last third of the game. However, we are not doing that. Cecil's legs are really tired from doing all this adventuring, so instead we're going to continue on as per normal. So no leg master workout today. So that is where the 64 comes from, is all of those stairs.
It is not leg day.
Not leg day at all. It's yesterday.
I see a question asking, how long is this GDQ going to be? Well, this is actually the last run of the marathon. And it's going to end in, if Rivers has a good run, I would say, I don't know, an hour, 20 minutes or so? Hour and a half?
Oh, that's close. Right. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but all good things have to come to an end.
Probably have time for 1, maybe 2 donations before the next boss.
We have $250 from Chris V with no comment, but thank you for your donation. And $200 from Villainy254. Thanks for putting this together so quickly for such a great cause, and thanks to the fine folk at Giant Bomb for making me aware. Here's to Zeromus feeling the fists of a dragoon.
All right, so coming up here, we have the dreaded Calabrina fight. If you play this game casually, it's probably one of the nastiest fights you run into. Not only because you think you're going to kill these dolls, and then they're kind of beating you up, and then they morph into this huge, bigger doll. But fortunately, in the speed run, if everything goes well, we are able to kill the dolls off before we even see the transformation, which is ideal for speed-wise.
Yeah, and this is kind of almost the first in a series of boss fights from here on in where you need to kill either all of the parts at the same time, or don't just leave one of the enemies at one time. Otherwise, very bad things happen. And in this case, if you don't kill the last 2 at the same time, or approximately the same time, as Neerrm mentioned, they will join into one big doll, which is just called Calcabrina, and it kind of wrecks your day. Won't ruin the run, but it really will lose us a bunch of time. So the timings are set up where first things we're going to do is we're going to have Kane attacking the blue dolls in the back row, Cecil daggering the the orange dolls in the front row. Rosa is going to start off with slowing all of them, and Yang is going to be tossing some kicks. Rosa's next turn is where things are going to get a little interesting. She is actually going to mute the entire party. Now, this doesn't have any particular effect on this specific fight, but it is for the boss fight, which comes immediately after this one versus Golbez. There is a status ailment priority chart in this game, and we kind of abuse it. And in this case, we are using mute, which is a higher priority than I think it's paralyze, which Golbez does to your party in the next fight. So if you're muted, he is not going to paralyze your party. So Rivers is still going to be able to act. So we're going to see that put to great effect shortly, where we hope to do a skip where we are not even going to see our next party member join us.
And unfortunately for Rivers, he's had a lot of horrible damage rolls from Kane, not only in the Battle of this fight, but here as well. So it's a little... he's having to do a little bit of improv here, unfortunately, and it can be really risky to try and figure out what exactly you have to do in order to guarantee not messing things up.
Yeah, because again, you really want to kill off those 2 dolls at the same time, or as close to the same time as possible. Otherwise, again, you're going to get big doll, and that's unfortunate. So yeah, this is one of those fights where you just have to constantly pay attention, or it's going to go very wrong.
Yeah, we played it super safe there. That was a very scary rolls and ATB.
Beautiful.
So coming up next, we have the Golbez fight, and Netara mentioned, since we're muted, we're not going to get paralyzed, and that's actually going to let us kill Golbez, hopefully before we even see our savior, who will just appear out of nowhere if things go well.
Yep. So the big thing about this fight is to buffer Kane's first jump with hopefully, so he got off right away, and we want him off. So even though he will be immune from the paralyze, he is not immune to the death spell that Golbez is going to be throwing at everyone but Cecil. So what we're doing here, what Rivers is doing here, is while Golbez talks, because he really loves the sound of his voice, he's going to continue on with his inventory management because he's got tons of time. Basically, he has until Golbez says, and you, Cecil, and that's where you know Golbez is done talking. It's time for the real fight. So he's going to be moving items down. He's going to make sure he equips the fire sword on Cecil. And now that we've got that last talk, that last message, he knows he's safe to attack Golbez, and he won't attack too soon. Any attacks that go off before the Mist Dragon destroys the shadow here, just don't hit. So
now this dude wants to play ball for 2050.
Nice, but still, while we did get a good jump from Kane, he didn't one-shot Golbez, but with the hit from Cecil, beautiful. We have no idea who sent that Mist Dragon. It's just us here. Golbez done. Thankfully, though, it was Rydia who came to save our day. So
I think you mean call her Bursk.
Same Bursk? Yes, we must call her Bursk.
Call her Bursk.
Bursk. Berserk Rydia.
Who's about to become incredibly handy, by the way, in the next, minute.
Yes, she is. So, turns out, once again, Golbez did not get killed. We tried really hard, but even if a hand survives, apparently that's enough.
Lobster hand. Lobster hand.
Lobster hand?
Lobster hand.
Looks like a lobster. So, stealing the crystal, we tried our best, and as usual, failed. This party is not very good at saving anything, but they're trying. That's what they're doing. They're really trying. Now, a glitch that many of us may have known from playing this casually is if you don't actually move from that spot, you can cast Warp with Rydia, and turns out Golbez really wasn't so good at taking the crystal because there it is. So by having this crystal, it's going to allow us to skip a dungeon later, a dungeon which I'm sure many of us hated and still hate. So, but for now, it is time to continue on and pick up a few items which are going to be extraordinarily useful for this run. One of which being the Dwarf Axe, which is a strategy we've only just started implementing in the last few months or so. A lot of the things in this game, like looking at Cecil and his stats in order to decide what they're going to do. Accuracy, speed, other such things. So, Cecil being equipped with the Dwarf Axe slows him down, which you would think would be bad, but for certain fights, and the ones we care about, it actually makes the battles faster and makes it easier for us to run away from them. So, extraordinarily useful by making Cecil more useless.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way this game works. The game determines boss agility based on what Cecil's current agility is, and if Cecil's agility is low, then the bosses are actually slower. So it's just really strange how that works out. But in the meantime, we got a long walk ahead of us, so how about some donations?
We love donations.
Sure thing. We have $20 from Bean. One punch to Zeromus.
A couple more than one.
$14.44 from Jay Shelby. Final Fantasy IV to finish the festivities to finance the feeding of the flooded, forlorn, and famished. Fantastic function. Funds are for the final fight featuring fists flattening faces. That should have been our donation incentive name. I like the alliteration. And thank you for your $14.44.
Yeah, that was great. And yeah, you can fit at least two more in.
What just happened?
In chat, we're aware there's a big donation that came through, but I haven't seen the comment yet. So just sit tight and be patient. And we have $200 from Blurring Line. Thanks for putting together this event for such a great cause so quickly. I'm putting this towards the Spearless Zeromus battle.
You run as official.
$100 from an anonymous donor. Consider this 100. $10 from Gresh9. Final Fantasy IV is far and away my favorite Final Fantasy game. I remember pouring hours into this game. I can't believe the game I played as a teen can be beaten so quickly. Thank you guys so much for your hard work in broadcasting the game and organizing such a great charity event and assisting the weekend moving smoothly.
So we are seeing those back attacks, but don't worry, we are not going to be stuck with tons of back attacks for the rest of the run. This is one of the last dungeons where we really have to put up with any amount of back attacks. Soon we will be able to mitigate some of those, and we'll show that soon. But for now, we have a nice long walk, and part of what we're going to do to get rid of those back attacks includes this chest that Rivers is picking up, and that is the cat claw. We are going to be duplicating that in one of the fights coming up, and using it to great effect, both for some damage in future fights, but mostly for its ability to speed up its wielders and allow us to run very fast.
Yeah, right now the Dwarf Axe is preventing back attacks. In monster packs, they have 3 monsters. We got one of those 2 encounters, 2 monster encounters outside. But one of the things that haven't been done yet for this run is kind of routing the step routes to work with Dwarf Axe. So obviously it tries to favor these formations with 2 monsters, or 3 that we can now automatically guarantee. So that's one improvement that hasn't been done yet.
But we're working on it. So probably have some time for a few more donations.
Yeah, and we have a big one right now. We have $10,050 from the Yeti. Ooh. Hey all, Yeti here. We're so happy to announce we've raised $10,000 from Harvey Relief Done quick merch sales. Thank you to everyone who picked up a tea, coin, or pennant. Shoutouts to everyone who set this event up so quickly. It turned out amazing. Extra special thanks to Drew Wise, Nina Matsumoto, and our warehouse team, who now have another large event to ship just after finishing SGDQ. Look at the amazing things we can do together. We're looking forward to AGDQ 2018. Thank you so much, the Yeti. They've been a longtime partner of the GDQs, and they've been great.
The fact they could get in so quick to help with sponsor this event where it was put together so fast is just out of this world. So we are about ready for our next boss fight, and this can be another one which is a bit of a doozy. We're going to be fighting kind of Lugay and Lugay 2.0. It is another one of those battles where we want to make sure to kill the 2 people in this fight approximately around the same time, or everything turns not very nice. They basically, I think either we get an insta-kill or we get just lots of damage either way. So we definitely want to kill both Lugay and Balnab as quickly as possible.
It's really interesting that the game kind of throws 2 fights back to back where you have to kill 2 enemies simultaneously, or else things go really, really awry really quickly.
Yeah, and then we have a couple of boss battles before the next one like that, but there is another one. So yeah, the big strategy here is just kind of balancing damage between Lugay and Balnab. So. And one of the things you'll see there is Rosa casting Mute. That actually doesn't do anything. It is just to preserve the turn order.
One of the things Rivers did prior to the fight is he went ahead and updated everybody's equipment. So Rydia got all kinds of wisdom boosting equipment, so she's going to do a ton of damage with her spell power. You notice Yang all of a sudden being relevant, doing 944 damage. That's due to the Cat Claw and the Thunder Claw. The Thunder Claw is amplified by the Cat Claw, and the Cat Claw gives really good stats as well. So there's going to be a lot of damage being thrown out all of a sudden. Kane's going to get Kane got some multipliers, and it can get really interesting damage-wise.
Perfect, and a really good fight there. And now for take 2, where we just fight Lugay. But this one can be a little dangerous because he has a laser which can just one-shot kill. And depending on who he kills, if he kills anyone, it can be dangerous, and you can have to adjust your strategies. But it is not guaranteed that will happen.
Yeah, so his laser is actually based on his max hit points, so the amount of damage it'll do will depend on how much remaining hit points he has left. And unfortunately, his first laser usually goes off to the point of where it'll kill anybody not named OPOP.
Yeah, like that one there would have killed anyone else. But thankfully, Cecil can tank that damage, so Titan again being used to great effect. And Cecil just trying.
Get him, Rosa. Get him.
She's the true champion. What I want to note is there's a few different variations that we have of this specific run that Rivers is doing, the no64 run. And the particular variation that he's doing is called Rosa %. So Rosa's definitely going to see some real love as the run goes on. Not for a little bit yet, but we have a grind fight coming up in a short while, and she's going to get the love of that. So we'll definitely see how this goes on. The other versions we have involve getting either the Drained Spear or the Excalibur, using the item duplication glitch to get stacks of them, and using Edge to just dart them at anyone and everyone. So you can I guess you can imagine the amount of damage that a thrown Excalibur will do. Excalibur, I believe, does a little bit more damage, but Drained Spear is faster to acquire.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you saw in that fight, my Yang was not properly leveled because of what happened in the Vegan battle. So he was not doing enough damage, and that was kind of what made that fight go just a little bit slower. I'm really comfortable with, but I mean, this is kind of, marathon luck, so here we go.
Yeah, and again, like to answer the chat, no64 refers to we are not doing the 64 floor glitch, which skips the last third of the game with the use of a really big, impressive glitch. If you've never seen the no credits warp run, which uses that glitch, I do recommend looking up a run of it from some of our runners. It is a really interesting run to see. But this is also a really great run because you get to see the skill and the strats used in doing the last third part of the run. It's having to actually fight Zeromus and not just cheese him to death is really quite difficult and a lot of strategy. And now we're going to fight the truly threatening Dark Imps.
So there's a little thing here after this cutscene. If you happen to be holding up as the cutscene ends, you actually walk back into this room that he's currently in, and there's no way out, and you just soft lock, and you have to reset.
So there's another button not to press. So if you don't like being told what buttons not to press, go ahead and try it and cry a little.
I don't recommend trying it. It's bad.
No, I also don't. Same with
So
the X on the
I should be holding not right now? Is that
yeah,
what
hold
I'm
up
hearing?
right now.
Okay.
Donation incentive, last minute.
So we've got a bit of a trek out of here, so and then another cutscene, so probably a good time for some donation.
Alternatively,
I can talk about this actually. Fortunately,
cool.
One of the things would be really nice for this run would be to keep Cecil at level 19 here. This is something that I have been working on a little bit here and there, but haven't really found a good solution to yet, especially not one that's kind of marathon safe. But you'll see now, if we do happen to get a bag attack with 3 or more, that it can actually hit you. And should we be able to find a real cure for that, to keep Cecil at level 19 so that his agility is just 1 point lower, we can actually avoid the back attacks all the way through Cave Album.
which is basically the last part of the run where we even need to worry about back attacks as such.
Yep.
Yeah, and one thing about this game, the characters are only really dead if you see them disappear from the screen. So if you think they're dead, they're probably not.
And even if they are dead, they'll show up as ghosts.
Yeah. So you will see everyone again, guys. Spoilers!
Except Anna, she's done.
No, yeah, she's totally done. And Rydia's mom, also done.
Sorry
she's
for
not
being
dead, she's just sun tanning.
Yeah, she's just bathing. Yeah.
Sorry for being a little late in donations. Is now
Not
still
at all.
time to read donation?
Oh, go right ahead.
We have $250 from an anonymous donor with no comment. We have $131 from Dice Guy D30, who says, usually I get 6 months for my wallet to recover between these events. Thanks for putting this together. And as always, I rolled 10 30-sided dice for my RNG donation. You all rock. Now there's actually a donation that I have from my mother, and since she's in this same room as I am, would chat like her to read the donation herself?
Oh yeah, go for it.
I know the commentator would like that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I am so proud to be related to this event. Thank you for putting it together in short order. Thank you for raising money not just for this, but for great causes. Thank you for being you.
That was amazing.
Thank you, Mom Yama.
Yeah, thank you for the donation.
They say thank you, Mama Yama.
That's good. I'm gonna go listen because I've got it on my...
And yeah, not many characters actually die in Final Fantasy IV. A lot of characters fake die in Final Fantasy IV. And you're like, oh no, I'm so sad. That character's dead. I love that character. Oh, there they are. What do you mean they're not dead? I just mourned for that character. And they're here again. So yeah, don't worry. If there's someone you enjoy, they're probably back. You may not get them back in your party, but they're probably not actually dead.
This is another place where you can mash X to soft lock, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah, we're going to get right on that. So we are heading back into Baron. We are back in the overworld, and in order to progress to the next area, we actually need to get our airship upgraded. We're very careful not to mention about the poor, totally dead, absolutely not, fake dead Sid, because we have some tact. A little
He's
tiny
fine.
bit. He's totally fine. No reason to mention it. Netara should be played by Sean Bean. He'd be more useful then.
Whoa.
Shade being thrown.
I knew it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, Tella doesn't get a lot of love in our community because of the amount that he is one of the things which likes to ruin runs. As very useful as he can be later on once he has learned Medio, there's just so much he can do wrong early game. We refer to it as Tella life.
Okay, there's actually a Macroface Z emote of the same name.
There is.
You want to go find it? Telelife, indeed. And that's whenever somebody complains about bad RNG, usually it comes to tell it and do this right.
It is. And the difference between soft and hard lock is soft lock, the game still appears to be going, but you're stuck wherever you are. The music will still play, you'll still see like people moving or whatnot, but you actually can't progress. Hard lock, the game freezes. That's it, you're done. Nothing moves. Sound is probably gone too. So that is one of the outcomes that you can get from the no credit warp run.
Do I have time to make an announcement?
Yes, you definitely do.
Well, thanks to that Yeti donation, we are $7,000 over the Spearless Aromas incentive. So you are fist fighting with an interdimensional creature, Rivers.
Finally. Woo! Thank you guys so much.
He has been waiting for this all his life.
And speaking of the Yeti, they do have a website up for selling merchandise for this marathon. They're sold out in some of it, but they still have the t-shirts, and it is theyeti.com/HRDQ. THEYETEE.
So River's taking a few more extra steps there. Not even his last step. There will be, providing he stays on step route, there will be a few more extra steps, but I think the rest of our steps, no, we do have some more on the moon, which we may or may not see.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on how fast our boy naming way is in the Hummingway Cave, pretty much.
Yeah, so the step route is set right up until the end of the game. We can get right to the end on step route, but due to our naming incentives, the last place where we can rename our characters, unfortunately, is a cave where the step counter does keep going. So unless the Hummingways are...
The only way we can rename Foo in this run, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, so unless they are very kind to us, we will lose step routes in the Hummingway Cave. But that's not until the moon, so we've got a ways yet.
And hey, anytime you can carry step route through the first 2:30 of this game, it's a victory.
It really is. Step routing is as difficult as you can imagine it is. One step off, and that's it. You've just thrown it completely. So, but for now...
Got a question for you, Netara.
I have hopefully an answer for you, Rivers.
Was it flame?
Let me show you how. So, this is the cutscene we go through to get everyone's favorite ninja. And our poor Rubicant is, he has no time for flame.
That leg.
That leg.
leg.
Should be censored. It's just too hot.
Yeah, Nintendo censored the guillotine, but they didn't censor Ruby Leg, and it's a pretty bad job there. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's okay. We've got Edge now.
And Edge can go through walls once.
A skill he will never use again, much like Rydia's Fire 1.
Yep. She goes through all that trauma to get that spell and never uses it again. So this is probably another good time for some donations.
Sure thing. Sven in Aurora donates $25. And here's to human solidarity. $50 from Power Clock. I can't believe how fast this marathon was set up, or how generous everyone is. Punches aromas for me. And that will happen thanks to the generosity of the Yeti. $50 from Travis Dunn. Being from New Orleans, I know what it's like to lose everything to hurricane. Here's a little bit to help my neighbors to the east recover. $25 from Jason G. Final Fantasy IV is one of my favorite games ever, and I had to donate during this segment. Thank you to all of the GDQ staff, runners, and everyone for supporting such a great cause.
So if I can get in here, you saw me put 2 cat claws on Edge. That was one of the biggest breaks of kind of the early development of the speed game. A lot of the early runs came down a lot to how many back attacks you took on the moon, how many you took in the giant, and it would just slow down the entire game because you have to constantly be curing. But this cat claw on Edge makes you run from pretty much everything else in the game, with a few exceptions, and it really was a big deal as far as the development of this as a speed game.
Yeah, for a long time we were running the game, and all of these encounters that you're seeing right now, most of them you can run away from with the cat claws now. We would just have to face tank, and then even worse, nice back attack egg there. Even worse on the moon, the encounters on the moon are even worse in that regard, and then they do so much damage that a lot of the runs would just get to the moon, you'd take 2 or 3 back attacks and your run would just be over. But thankfully with the cat claws, the amount of danger has been significantly reduced, and it's been probably one of the most pleasant things that's been found in the speedrun.
Definitely is, and I believe it does that because it just makes Edge so fast that it allows him to have his turn before anyone else and allows them to run away. I love how all your back attacks are eggs.
Egg. Yeah, cat claws each add 5 agility, so 2 gives you +10. And since Edge is naturally a high agility character, you've created a very wide gap between Cecil's agility and Edge's agility, which is kind of what the game looks at when it's trying to figure out how to run away. Is Cecil's agility versus the highest agility in your party. So coming up here to one of the most annoying fights in no64, because it's literally 2 minutes of sitting here watching story unfold that you can't do anything about. So this would be the perfect time for donations.
Yep. Lots of inventory management and waiting for it to be over.
Okay. Well, we have $200 from Adam Null. Living up to the last name, the comment field is blank. We have $5 from Saul. Wish I could donate more, but I'm donating what I can. Thanks for putting this event so quickly. $25 from an anonymous donor. Wasn't able to watch most of the event, but happy to donate. You guys have big hearts. $25 from Rue95. Great work by the GDQ team. Keep it up. 200K hype.
Hype.
We have $25 from Groucho223. We're closing in on the end of the marathon, and I haven't even donated yet. Let's finish strong and make Spearless happen. We have $10 from Nate22. Congrats, runners, for putting this amazing event on short notice. People of Houston and the surrounding affected areas, donating what I can. Thank you. $50 from anonymous donor. I was very excited when I saw the event starting on Friday. Can't help but donate every time GDQ holds an event, and I'm thrilled you have given us the opportunity to help such a tragic need. Thank you for always being willing to play games for great causes. $45 from Good Guy 3123. I'm glad this is such a success. We've got the time, dedication, most importantly, the money to make it happen. Let's go. $20 from Broken Fiction. What a great cause and fun set of runs. All the kudos in the world to GDQ getting this set up so quickly. $200 from Undead Snowman with no comment. $100 from anonymous donor with no comment. $105 from another anonymous donor with no comment.
And I just want to note, there will never be a Pink Pup donation incentive. It is just too random, takes way too long. If you want the run to be literally double the length, if not longer, sure.
So here we have the Rubicante fight, which can be, if things go really, really wrong, can be kind of nasty, but for the most part, it should be a relatively easy fight. So what we have to do here is do all the magic damage we can while Rubicante has the cape open, and in the meantime, we're going to have OPOP and Corpus are going to be doing physical damage. And Ruby does not absorb physical damage with the cape up. He actually takes more damage. But with the cape up, he will actually absorb all magic attacks. So the ideal thing we do here is get 2 Floods and an Ice 2 in before he raises his cape. And that's all done with pretty precise inputs. Everything needs to be done relatively quickly. And this glare here is a guaranteed one-shot on somebody, unfortunately.
And it is unfortunate that it was Kane. We do want him, ideally, not to be the one who is killed. But as we know, the glare is coming. He was ready for it and could life him right away. But it does change the strategy a little, and it means that Rydia is now going to be using Shiva to assist with this. It's a little longer to do it, but it makes up for having the turn that we miss with Kane. Perfect.
So Rivers actually wanted to delay right there on Cecil's turn, because if you reduce Rubicante down to a very low amount of hit points with an attack by Cecil, he actually has death dialogue, and then he'll die off. And obviously that dialogue takes a bit of time. So knowing Kane was going to land and do probably at least 5,500 damage, definitely the more safe bet there.
Yeah, ain't no one got time for death text. So another really good donation time.
Yeah, now that we've passed Ruby, the next 20 minutes of this run, because of cutting out the sealed cave, there's just a lot of cutscenes, bang after bang after bang, and donations donations are required to get through this part, I think.
Okay, well, I have a bunch of them, but before I go over the donations, just as one last reminder, this is Harvey Relief Done Quick, with all of your donations going to the Houston Food Bank. Great charity, helping out in Houston, right in the front lines, and every dollar donated to the Houston Food Bank provides the equivalent of 3 meals. And they're a member of Feeding America and was voted Food Bank of the Year in 2015. So they will provide food and supplies in the short term and for many months to come to the residents in Southeast Texas who will, try to rebuild their lives after this horrible disaster. The food bank will work closely with their network of partner agencies to ensure the food is getting to those who will need it the most. Now, if you don't have the money, or if you just want to do more than volunteer money, you can volunteer in the calendar at houstonfoodbank.org. Scroll down to look at the spotlight, and they will need a lot of assistance for the months to come. If you want to donate items directly, you can drop them off at the curbside at 535 Port Wall. Now through Saturday, September 9th, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. The most needed items will be canned, ready-to-eat items with pull tops, like vegetables and fruit, protein and pouches, or pull top cans such as tuna, beef stew, chili, canned chicken, peanut butter, snacks, granola bars, breakfast bars, and the like, toiletries, paper goods, diapers, and cleaning supplies such as mops, mop buckets, brooms, bleach wipes, bleach, garbage bags, and bug spray.
I just want to quickly insert, surprise, Sid's not dead. So, as we mentioned earlier, if you don't actually see them totally disappear, the character's not dead. So, we found Sid and he's like, oh, you guys need your airship fixed? Oh, it doesn't matter that I'm in bed really hurt. I've got this. So now enjoy this wonderful cutscene along with donations of Sid and Edge fixing a airship.
We have $100 from Adamantoys 17. I missed most of the stream, but got home just in time to donate for the end of the Final Fantasy IV run. Thanks to GDQ staff and all the runners for putting on this fantastic event on such short notice to help out for this cause. We have $100 from A Bum, who says, thanks for a great weekend of runs. Looking forward to HDQ in another couple of months. Keep up the good work. $100 from Mike67 saying, you don't need a reason to help people. Then I would agree. $100 from Jickwick, who says, send hunger packing. $40 from Kevlario. Final Fantasy IV is one of my favorite RPGs. I've played almost every re-release that Square has made. The excellent soundtrack and epic story make it a great final game for this excellent cause. Thank you for putting this event together so quickly. Good luck, Rivers, and I can't wait for HDQ this January. $10 from an anonymous donor. I work for a call center that takes calls for the Health and Human Services Commission of Texas. We have been flooded with calls from people who need food, shelter, or help. It's an awesome surprise to see my favorite charity foundations spring up to help everyone out. Thank you, everyone, for your donations.
Real quick here. So that was the sealed cave in its entirety. You just pop your head in, and because you have the dark crystal that we grabbed earlier, it's a sequence break. So the cutscene with Kane plays, and he just waltzes on out of here. Corpus betrays us once again. And yeah, that's the entirety of Sealed Cave. And we have a whole bunch more cutscenes, so keep on talking.
Yeah, and I'm sure that anyone who did this casually remembers just how mean Sealed Cave is. Like, all the doors attack you, the wall at the end is really mean, so any opportunity to skip it is greatly and gladly taken.
I have a question. Is the Sealed Cave boss even possible with your local levels as they are?
Yeah, there are a couple of runs that have been done. Mostly, we'll grab a little bit more weaponry, like the Avenger, and that'll help out stat-wise. You can pump out enough damage to where it'll work out.
Yeah, most of the JP runners do this glitchless and go through the Sealed Cave, so they have a big handle on the strats, and some of them use that. Some of them use, I think I've seen Ninja Sword from Monster Cave, some Monster Cave. There's a, pretty much Berserk people and Let's Cecil cover. So.
And now for even more airship fixing.
We have $30 from an anonymous donor. I have to prove to my girlfriend that I actually donate during these things. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
$150 from Zasation. Thanks for everything you're doing, GDQ. It's amazing how quick you reacted to such a great need. $100 from Not So Dark Knight. Longtime watcher of GDQ events. I only found Harvey Relief Done quick due to it being mentioned by a game news channel on YouTube. I love how the community came together so quickly in support of Houston. Good luck, everyone, and you are all awesome. $25 from an anonymous donor who says, nicely done. Excellent choice of games. Happy to help. Well, thank you for that nice little donation. $25 from yet another anonymous donor. Great that you could set up this marathon so quickly. Sad to see it ending so soon. Better get in my donation while I still can. Hang in there, Houston.
Speaking of getting donations in while you still can, coming up rather in short order here, we're going to have the final rename for Cecil and Rosa, as well as confirming Edge and Fusoya's final name, and that'll be the last rename we do of the run.
And guys, if you missed the legend the last time, here it is again.
Somehow even slower this time.
So I also just want to note that Rivers, who is running this category right now, is the current world record holder for it with a time of 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 14 seconds. So that is the time to beat. Unfortunately, even with all of his skill, with all of the add-ins for the renaming, it is unlikely we were world record. But if anyone can do it, it's our man Rivers.
It's very unlikely. In fact,
so
almost
no pressure, dude.
Now.
No pressure at all.
Yeah, I came up with a lot of these Rosa percent strats. Neerrm helped kind of codify the Zeramis fight a little bit. I was a little stuck there, and I think we need to also mention the Roth has done a great deal pushing this game for the past year. So it's really just a big community effort to continue pushing this game closer and closer to sub 3. Not quite there yet, but very close.
So close. And now, the vehicle of choice for all runners, the big whale. It's shiny, it's many-colored, it doesn't really even look like a whale. So, should be time for more donations.
$50 from an anonymous donor. Texan checking in. Love this organization and cannot thank everyone enough for pulling this together to help our friends and family in Houston. Special thanks to all the runners and all my fellow donators. $100 from Radical Eddie, who says, I want to see the Zeroma stat. Let's get it done. We have a $40 donation from Gabe the Engineer, who says, this is for the Fez run. I'm a little late. It's all good. You can be a little late in your donations. They're all going to a good cause, nevertheless. And we have $50 from Don Luke, who says, sorry I didn't get this in earlier to kill the animals, but glad I was able to make it in time before the end of the event. $50 from TechMech32. I completely missed SGDQ this year, but now I can make up for it. As a nurse, I just want to say thanks to everyone involved. Your efforts are appreciated. $20 from an anonymous donor. Gotta give some love to Houston and mad respect to the guys and gals running these games. $20 from Snuggles32. Thank you guys for playing for Harvey Relief. I live in Texas, and this last week has been surreal. It's heartbreaking to see the homes of my family and friends underwater. I appreciate all of you. Will you need Edge in Fusoya, Cecil, and Rosa's names soon?
Yeah, relatively soon. It's going to cut off when the mop joins the party.
Which is going to be momentarily.
Okay.
And then it's still going to take a few minutes to get to the cave where the naming way is.
Okay.
And probably another few minutes to actually catch that naming way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have to catch not one, but two, because we need to go in there anyways to buy elixirs. So for all of you...
We don't need to buy elixirs, but we are going to buy elixirs for safety here.
Yes, we are. And we're also getting our actual favorite old guy of the run, Fusoya. Actually useful, looks like a mop when dead.
Which we hope we don't see.
Hope we don't see, but it looks pretty good. Yeah. It looks
except at
pretty
the end of the grind fight. That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Or in the cutscenes at the end.
True. And so as you can tell by the speech that we just ran through really quickly, he is literally Cecil's uncle. So that is why the kind of community-wide nickname for this character is Uncle Mop.
I have literally never heard that before.
You need to hang out with Couch 23 more.
I do. I guess I do.
And a lot of the Japanese runners call him Mop because of the fact, with his beard all puddled out, he looks like a mop when he is in his dead sprite form. So we've kind of just picked it up because it's so appropriate. It works. Just look up the sprite or wait until we see it later. He literally looks like a mop. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a basis of one of the great RPG emotes, RPG Dead, which was actually, I think, leading the naming at one point. I don't know if it still is, but great emote. Big fan of it.
Yep.
Well, I won't spoil that for you, but I will say that the donations for the names are closed.
Well, we're going to find out soon then. So all he's doing now is heading back into our favorite whale and piloting it over to the cave that we're going to. So a few seconds to get to the cave, perhaps a minute or two to catch the thing.
Aeons of catching.
Yep.
Okay, I think it's this guy. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we need Fusoya, Edge, Cecil, and Rosa.
Just 1 second. Fusoya's name is not RPG Dead, which ended up in second. It is Tofuha. Capital T, capital F, capital H.
Big fan of that name as well, actually, but...
Yeah, I like it too.
It's a really good name.
You'll be happy with this one, Rivers. Arby's crushed everything else.
Yes.
For Edge?
$1,057.67. Next up being bread at $3.05, and Arby's is in all caps.
Oh, it's in all caps. Okay.
Yeah.
I did that done.
Good work, guys. We need
Don't want to disrespect Arby's.
Now, Rosa's name has changed.
Okay.
It was a pretty close race, but in the end, Linka won it with $420. So that's Link with an A at the end.
Okay.
Captain Planet.
And capital L.
Get back here. Get back here.
And there wasn't too much shifting in Cecil's name, OP's name, so that still remains. And
all right.
I think you are finished because Rydia's name was locked in place the first time.
And
now we
have
to find the dude false elixirs. There we go. That was easy.
Easy every time. I just noticed that the Hummingways in the back all have red eyes. That's a little creepy. But now we have our elixir.
This is why we try to stay on step route at all times.
Yeah, so unfortunately, step route is a thing of the past now, so we kind of just have to put up with whatever is left.
We'll just deal with how the cards fall.
And that's going to actually be, for most runs, you'd just be like, whatever, I'll run away from the extra. But it's actually going to affect the next part of this run, because in the next section that we're doing, there is a grind fight that is absolutely essential to the rest of this run. And in order to find that grind fight was why we wanted to be on the particular step route. But thankfully, we do have a manipulation or sort of a grid information to tell us we're going to save, Rivers is going to reset, and from there, he has the information he needs in order to find the grind fight again. So we may get our last instance of just kind of walking around aimlessly.
I will say, there is a small chance that we could recover.
That would be great.
The D machine will appear like 50 steps after it's supposed to, so depending on the encounters, it's possible. I just wouldn't count on it at this point. Yeah. We're going to see what happens.
For sure. So this is the Giant of Babel showing up in this wonderful cutscene, and it is inside here that we will get to the grind fight. But I think until we get to the grind fight, we're pretty safe for some more donations.
Sure thing. We have $100 from Marn, who says, "Keep up the good work, folks." Or Sapper21, I should say. We have $50 from Master Treble. "Thanks for all you do. Love sending my money to this organization." We have $5 from Ruby Conte. I'm a little late with this one. "How does my cape make my physical defense lower? Curse you speedrunners and your exploits." $100 from Woodles. "I had already been looking for a way to donate for Harvey Relief that would be local and effective when I saw the tweet that this marathon would be occurring. So not only did you guys do the hard work for me in terms of a perfect local charity, but now I get to watch good gaming too. Thank you guys. It really is incredible what this community can do on such short notice." $25 from Quasi T. "Kudos and many thanks to the GDQ crew and runners for putting this together. It makes me happy to see the gaming community come together for such a great cause." $10 from anonymous donor. "I've watched GDQ for a long time and decided to finally donate for once. I've always been amazed by the compassion of the community during these runs. Don't ever stop." $20 from Iron Mog. "Paul, thanks for always being one of the best things about video games. Can't wait to see the event live in person for AGDQ 2018. GDQ hype." We have $100 from Josh S. "During Hurricane Irene, I lost my house, and the community coming together really helped my family get through these tough times. The kindness of people we didn't even know was incredible. Donating to help those in need. It's not all bad, though. I managed to find a wife from those troubling times, so keep thinking positive."
Also, if you've never tried it, if you actually cast fire on Rubicante, life, you're pretty hilarious. Not speedrun friendly anyway, but just funny to watch.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of kind of fun, cute things you can do with the game manipulations, which are totally neat to see, not so friendly for the speedruns.
So coming up here, Rivers is going to look for a very specific encounter. It was hinted at earlier. He's looking for a searcher and 2 beamers. And there's actually 2 different instances of this encounter. One of the searchers can spawn a horseman, which we don't care about, and the other one can spawn a D machine or a clockwork dragon in more updated versions. And the way this is going to work out is Rivers is going to set his equipment here, and he's also going to change the party formation. And the way it's going to play out is the turn order, he'll weak the D machine, he will attack it, the D machine will die, and then he will have 2 life items queued on the D machine. And for whatever reason, every time you life an enemy in this game and it has already died, it will immediately resurrect, but it'll resurrect with 0 hit points, so you get credit for another kill. And I do believe that's because all monsters in this game, except for like maybe a couple, have a vitality stat of 0, and life heals based on that vitality stat. So we're able to utilize this glitch in order to kill a significant number of D machines in a very short order. And hopefully Rivers is able to find the fight here. We do have backup strats in order. In the event that he does not get the fight that he needs, he'll be able to save and reset, and then based on what he sees in a particular amount of steps, he'll be able to route out the grind fight. But unfortunately, due to the naming way running all over the place, he wasn't able to get it on his way in. So
I might give it one try in the next room, so that will reset.
Doing the save first, and then we can go a grind fight hunting. So there's lots of, I won't say there's lots of ways to do this fight, but it can be a really difficult fight, the grind fight, as it is rather precise with the timings. So there definitely are ways to go about it which is not precise and are slower, but we're not going to see any of this here. The grind fight, when done properly, looks really, really quick, really well done, and you just see these D machines dying very quickly. So we're going to find out. Excellent. So this is the fight we wanted. We got our D machine. So it is time to do it. So the general strategy is Fusia is going to cast Weak on the D machine. Rydia is just going to hit it to kill it. Both Rosa and OPOP are going to use life on the D machine. So we'll get the credit of 3 kills between killing the actual dragon and then kind of resurrecting it and having it die twice. And then Edge is going to hit the Searcher to summon another one. We're going to do this until we get about between 15 and 18 D machines killed. And then we are going to kill off the rest of the party except for the one person we want to have the experience, depending on which run we're doing. Where this is Rosa percent, she is going to be the lucky recipient of thousands of experience points from this fight. So thankfully it doesn't take too long, and we are already at 6 kills.
This is a very difficult fight to get.
It really is.
And there's a lot of things that can go wrong in terms of like people going out of order, not getting the life turns, and so in order to do this fight optimally, which Rivers is doing here, it takes so much practice. It's not even funny.
It does, because when you do it non-optimally, again, if you understand the way the fight works well enough, you can certainly complete it. But rather than the couple of minutes Rivers is going to take here to do it optimally, you'll be 5 or 10 minutes doing it. It's an extraordinarily long fight, and like Neerrm said, you can just outright die and waste all of your time.
Unfortunately, Rydia did jump order there, so he's going to have to do a little bit of recovery here.
Yeah.
But not the end of the world.
It is not. So that means we only got the credit for 2 there, so we're at 11.
So in an ideal world, he would not have to heal at all, not have to light anybody up. He would just plow on through. But unfortunately, going to have to play it a little safe here. That's okay.
He is near the end of it anyways, and he's just getting his turn order back on track.
Yeah, it is a little out of whack, so he's going to start seeing I think he's going to get fired every turn now. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He's probably close enough to the end, though. He can likely still make it through without curing.
Ooh, Rydia jumped again.
She
Shame
did.
on her.
What is... She is very eager. It's because she's berserked.
That must be it. So a bit this is going a bit unfortunate, but again, not the end of the world. Still in good order, not in danger of dying, and hopefully we'll be able to get the final 4 kills he needs here.
Yep. So you can see that fire does quite a bit of damage. So the D machine doesn't do very much. Very many of those if you can get this optimal, but again, if your characters jump turn, there's just very little you can do about it. So great recovery, and we'll just continue on. Probably have time for a donation or two here.
Sure thing. $50 from an anonymous donor. Missed most of the stream, but I enjoyed the bits I saw. $25 from an anonymous donor. $5 challenge. I challenged Twitch chat to donate $5 each. Here's my $5 plus $20 more to cover 4 people who can't donate. Let's get this donation train going. Keep up the great work, GDQ.
Perfect. So what we're doing now is we are to the point of the grind where we have Rivers has killed all the D machines he needs to, and he is killing off all of his extra party members. So last to go will be Uncle Mop. And then now that the searcher has been weaked, all that needs to be done is for Rosa to just hit him once, and there he goes. And you can see her level up for the next minute.
Yeah, casual 771,000 experience, no big deal.
Yeah, no,
it's only a
not
good,
bad.
clean 20 levels,
Exactly.
20, 25, 30. And so in doing this, leveling up Rosa not only levels up Rosa, but Kane also gets the same amount of experience. So when Kane does rejoin the party, he's going to have the same amount of experience that Rosa got here, so he'll be pretty beefy himself.
Again, that shadow party come to our favor. And whether you were paying attention to the spells that Rosa just learned, the 2 that she just picked up, which are going to be of greatest importance, are Wall and White. So as you see, Rivers has moved them up to the top of her list for easy access. Now, he's not going to bother curing up his party because in the next fight, your opponents are gracious enough to cure you up, but he is going to do a safety save because this is a marathon and anything can go wrong.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it really can. Thank you, Back Attack. Problem with Edge being dead. Oh no, an surprise attack! Rosa, you can do it. Sorry, Linka. See, that's why you got all this HP. See, she's fine. She's totally fine.
Oh yeah, easy every time. No doubt about it.
Yep. So the only thing we're switching up now is the party order, but ready to go. So, as with all things in this game, you thought they were dead, but surprise! The 4 fiends are back and they want another chance at this. And they are all going to come at your party, I want to say at the same time, but it's all in one fight. What usually happens is you defeat one and it automatically transitions into the next until you've defeated all 4. But we ain't got time for that. So we're going to manipulate this fight. So hopefully the only of the elements that we will see is Mylon Z here, and maybe just the beginning of Rubicante.
Dream start.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't need either Edge or Rydia. Oh, they can have a chill time. So we're going to be using Wall to great effect here. There are HP limits that we don't want to hit with the elements because then they will swap to the next one. but they have a shared HP pool. So we want to do just enough damage so they don't go over, and then to kind of wipe them out. And the big way that we're going to do to abuse this is we're going to bounce spells off the wall onto them, as this does not trigger the move into the next fiend, I believe. So, and where Mylon Z is undead, we're using Cure 4 to great damage, and Nuke with a Tofu Ha. And if we have the damage correctly, we can finish with just a final hit to them without the wall. But we're hoping to keep using the walls to great effect here until they are dead.
Don't trust it.
Yeah, also having to check whether the wall is there or not. So again, if we're lucky...
Good.
Nope.
Smart play.
Yeah. Yeah. Never necessarily trust that your thing is there. So it went beautifully, and we did skip all the elements. Apparently there is only one of the 4 fiends, and it is Mylon Z. So last bit of inventory management here. And we're on to the next fight. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there are multiple fights here where you want to kill all of the enemies at once or close to at once. And this is the next one, and perhaps even the last one. We are going for the CPU fight. And this one gets particularly nasty. You have the CPU, and he's going to have 2 kind of drone bots. And Rivers' goal is going to be to kill the main CPU just shortly after the main bots. Otherwise, he starts throwing huge amounts of damage at your party, and you cannot survive that very long, even with the extra experience and HP that our Linka has gained. So once again, using run buffers to try and sneak in some attacks.
This is going to be pretty close here. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get one of the buffers. And it's very, very tight. So we're going to see some interesting things going on here.
Okay, so if you guys miss Medio, here, enjoy it again with someone who legitimately has enough MP to use it. So, with all luck, these last couple of hits are going to take out the CPU. Sounds like it did, and...
The roll.
Nice. So, we dodged all of the extra damage, and CPU is toast. We are pretty ready for the end of the game at this point.
Yeah, I spent a good hour and a half on that backup today, so I'm glad I did that.
Yep.
That one run buffer, if it goes off, you fall behind the entire turn order fight, and all of a sudden you gotta bring Radia back.
Yeah, again, you can know these strategies as well as you like, but you really just have to practice and keep doing runs to get all the times where the runs go wrong, so you just know the fights well enough to know how to recover. That's the key, and kind of the difference between the good runners and the great runners.
Oh, it's definitely a good recovery.
Yeah. Miss you.
Bye, Uncle Mop.
Tofu Ha, no.
Tofu Ha.
What a name. Who came up with that? That person deserves a medal.
They do. It's a beautiful name.
Well, we've got a significant amount of time and a significant amount of walking to do, so now would be an excellent time for more donations.
And if you guys can read really fast, you can kind of read some cutscenes, and our friend Kane's back. Okay, I see you're there. Donations, yay.
Alright, well, before I read off some donations, I noticed that we are very, very close to $220,000. A little over 1.5k away. And I know there's no more donation incentives left, but it'd just be really great if we could hit, 220,000. I think that would be a really great goal for this final stretch. And it appears the donation train worked because we got a bunch of donations. $10 donation from Ian Blizzard. Donation train, donating for myself and another random person in chat who cannot afford it. $10 from Orbindo, who simply want to say "Yar." $5 from Blue Cheetah. $5 from an anonymous donor who says, "I'll take on that $5 challenge." $5 from Dino Sir. Donation train, choo choo. $5 from anonymous. Viewer number 24,188 pitching in. Great event, great cause, etc. Ooh, I don't know if you'll like this donation. $50 from Victor Nupp. Here's $50 for the 5th best Final Fantasy. Thoughts and prayers to the city of Houston.
It's for a good cause, so we'll forgive it.
Exactly.
Puexel told me that the best Final Fantasy.
We cut out there, Rivers.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Puexel told me that the best Final Fantasy is Chrono Trigger.
I can't exactly argue.
We have, $247.05 from an anonymous donor. I was amazed by how quickly you guys put this event together. So take my last 2 paychecks, all for a good cause, right?
Wow.
Well, I hope you have enough to feed yourself, but thank you for your generous donation.
Unless you think the Houston Food Bank can do it more, that's a good word, expediently.
We have $6.47 from Wyatt and Sam from my 2 young sons. Use this money to buy some clothes, food, milk, lantern, phone, and a boat. We have $5 from Alex Santos, who says, following up on that $5 donor challenge. Thank you so much for all the great GDQs these past few years. We have $180 from Kevin Turpey, or KNS Turpey, who have nothing to say, just wanted to be generous and donate, who I think are Test Runner's parents, or at least related to Test Runner. We have $50 from Shads164. Thank you, GDQ, and all the amazing runners for putting up an event so quickly to help those in need in Houston. I'm glad I'm able to donate something during one of my favorite games of all time.
So as we're heading into the descent here, we're going to pick up 2 treasure chests on the way. One is the white robe that increases Rose's magic stat, so she'll do better damage. One is a ninja star for edge to throw. Everything else here is just kind of about avoidance. We are way off step route. We may be curing a couple times on the descent because normally our step routes try to cut out the fight with the red D. And if he appears, you will see me head into the cure menu many times.
I was really kind of waiting for that next attack to be the red D. I was just going to be like, oh god.
Anyway, continue the donation train if still going.
Also, I want to know, you bring up the best Final Fantasy and chat turns into a huge debate about it. So if you want your debate answer to be heard, your opinion to be heard, it's not too late to donate.
The oldest GDQ trope.
True story.
Are you sure the oldest one isn't "that's never happened before"?
Oh, that's never happened before. Today we only had one that happened once to me before, so hey, we did okay there. Did okay there.
Yeah, you play enough of this and you don't see too much of that's never happened before in this game, but it does happen. We still get these weird things happening and still finding new tech and developing things. It's a very active community, so with all of our different routes.
I feel like punching zero miss is that's never happened before in a run.
That's true.
That is
true.
That
will have never happened before.
Ha, so even you're not immune.
Anywho.
Well, it's happened to me before. Technically speaking, the Valveless fight has never been technically done on GDQ, but it happened. Just, a million times off stream. Yeah, I picked up a Protect Ring on accident. That's called, I'm used to doing this.
Dark Twinge does bring up a good point. HDQ 2013, I think it was Die Hard that won for Best Final Fantasy.
That's true.
So I guess it has been settled once and for all.
And we've got a Die Hard %, so obviously that means Final Fantasy IV wins.
Just fueling those flames.
Checkmate Netara.
I'm here for you guys. So is this our last menu before heading into Zeromus now? No. Other than curing?
Only because I'm going to wait to change rows until we get to the very bottom.
Gotcha.
Just in case we run into bad things. But
of course.
On a regular run, this would be our last menu.
You do not want her in the front for longer than necessary. Even with all that HP, she is more squishy than we would like.
Yeah, the only reason it's worth it against Zero Miss is because he has no physical attacks at all.
Yeah.
So it looks like the donation train is still continuing because we have $10 from the Royal A's. And he says, count us in on the donation train. Dave C says, if everyone watching donated $30, we would hit 1 million. We're so close. $1 million hype.
We can totally do it, guys.
Yeah, we can totally do it.
I believe.
Although I have to say, I am impressed with everyone's generosity during this event, especially since this was organized in 2 days on such short notice.
As a lifelong Houstonian, I was extremely lucky about this. The only thing that, inconvenienced me in any way was going outside and trying to clear gutters. But, to hear, everybody kind of banding together, both here and nationally, for this tragedy is amazing. And thank each and every one of the donors personally for that, because the city needs help sometimes.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that we've hit $220,553.
That is incredible.
Woo!
Guys, you are all amazing. Keep it up. We've still got a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
As much as this section is just a lot of running away and walking through, it's just 2 sets of really good music, the boss music and the music here on the moon as we're walking through. So at least there is that.
Okay, we have a $30 donation from Blue Fan Studios. We have always loved watching games done quick, because to us it represents why we here at Blue Fan Studios are all proud to be a part of the gaming community. Everyone coming together to make a difference. And a sincere thank you. We have $50 from Brian Frank, who says, donating with my sons Logan and Mateo. Thanks for organizing and keep up the great work. I've noticed that because of the chat debate and what Netara said, there are some people donating for the best Final Fantasy. We have $10 from Amelia40, who says, donating again because Chrono Trigger is the best Final Fantasy.
Well, so try to tell him.
Yep. That guy knows what he's talking about.
This was a beautiful walk, by the way. Only one red D, and it was in a multi-pack, so
Yeah,
that was
considering
great.
you're off step route, that's fantastic.
I'll probably organize my inventory just a little bit after I do this menu, just for ease.
So even though you're off step route, how many potential, I guess, quote-unquote, step routes are there in the game?
256.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's 256 if you start from a specific location, but there's some people in the community named Fred Coughlin who like to reset at different points, and that generates a whole new set of step routes. So really, the possibilities are endless, but for most people do it at just 256.
Yeah, he actually has that out for people to use. His webpage for figuring out kind of your step route at certain key points in the game, but I don't know anyone else who can use it the way he does. I know I just get confused trying to use it, but watching him do it is amazing. It's truly magic.
All right, here we go.
It's that time, guys.
So a little bit of background on this one.
Go ahead.
The old zero miss punching strat. This is something Rivers, I guess, released upon the world maybe about a week ago. And even then, the strat that Rivers had come up with has been adjusted since then. It was kind of a community effort to try and refine the zero miss fight to where it's a little bit faster with the Rosa route. And so I don't think it's actually been done in a run yet, unless you practiced it yesterday in a run.
I practiced it once, yeah.
Okay. One entire time.
Yep.
So this is going to be really interesting. I'm excited to see how this goes, and it could lead to some very interesting results.
Yes, it most certainly could.
Get him, Tohufuha. Get him. So normally before Sid,
You're cutting out really bad.
Sid takes Tofuha's place during this run.
Yes, in the no credits warp run.
No CW, so we'll have a guessing game for the medio. Of course, here, all you have to do is spam 9999.
So we all win, yay! But Sid doesn't use magic. It's a very low number, quite a low number he uses on his medio. Pretty impressive he can use it at all. So yeah, our guessing game's kind of fun. Tofuha is just too good.
So I figure now is a great time for donations, considering that there is a very long cutscene coming up.
There is a quick thing I just want to explain about the beginning. During this big long cutscene we're going to see once the battle with Zero Mist starts with the whole party, you're going to watch Rivers run. He is going to be running for that entire battle. And something that was found a few months ago is that when you run in battle where there's text at the top and is going through, you actually clear those messages a little faster, a few frames faster by running. So by running during that cutscene at the beginning of the Zero Miss fight, we actually saved 12 seconds. So other than that, though, you are free to go until the battle starts. Have fun.
Well, since you mentioned Fuexel a couple of times, of course he had to donate $50. And yes, this is about the best Final Fantasy.
We summoned him.
And he says, question, what's the best Final Fantasy? Answer, no.
That was the joke, yes. All right, I'm going to put my headset down, guys, so
Good luck.
good job commentating.
You got this.
Good luck, dude.
So yeah, this is a fight he's going to have to be adjusting in quite a bit, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we're not ready yet, so here you go. Got some more donations while you watch everyone be alive still.
We have $50 from Velociraptor 42 and Storm. Velociraptor, doing hosting for this event, and frequent and both Velociraptor and Storm frequently volunteering for GDQ events. And he says, had to donate during Rivers Run. That Final Fantasy IV community has your back. Glad to have been a part of this great event and glad to see the outpouring of support for the people of Houston. We have $30 from Orbindo. Had to donate again for both the $1 million hype and to say Metal Gear Solid is the best Final Fantasy. Snake! 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 We have $150 from Lady Cat, who says, thanks GDQ for putting this together so quickly. $100 from Space Drake 165, donating to an excellent cause in a hurry. Final Fantasy IV was the game that basically set me on my life's course. It's great seeing it run so well. $10 from Angela 216, a heartfelt thanks to all the runners and donors. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone at Houston. I've been watching your stream with my friend Ron and my love Brad. Great cause. $30 from Orbindo. Had to donate again for both the $1 million hype and already read that one. $10 from Andrew Bell. Says, thank you to all the GDQ volunteers for putting together a great event so quickly. Oh, wow. We have $500 from an anonymous donor who says 220K hype. And we've passed 220K. We're actually at 223,000. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yep. Definitely an amazing job, everybody. So thank you.
It's all so important. So thank you.
So it looks like the true battle is about to start. So I'll
let
you guys do the commentary because there is a lot to talk about here.
Yep, so here we go. We got the Berserk firing off on Kane here. He's going to take off his spear, and that gives him the Fists of Fury that he needs. And we're going to use that spear immediately and chuck it at Zero Miss. Unfortunately, Rydia is not going to do anything in this fight, and she's just going to take a little chill in the back row there, just kind of watch what's going on. And Cecil and Rydia both are pretty much useless. Edge is going to throw another Ninja Star, and that's going to be all the damage Edge is going to put out in this fight. In the meantime, we're going to get Rosa's turn again, and she's going to start casting Wall and White. And if you remember from the Cure 4, to make sure the party's healed after the Big Bang, and then a Wall and a White. And if you remember for the 4 Fiends fight, we used the bounce the spell off the wall to skip transformation thing. That's going to happen again here. But the only spell we have in our arsenal is that does really any amount of damage is Rosa's White spell. So here you'll see the wall. And ATB looks good so far. If Rivers makes literally any mistake, he's going to have to backpedal and do a backup strat here. But Corpus is doing a great job punching Zero Miss here. Look at those damage rolls.
I do want to note those damage rolls do have to do with a glitch. I believe it has to do with removing his weapon while he's berserked will keep, or swapping his weapon while berserked will keep the damage of the weapon you removed, which is why he can punch for so much damage.
It sure does. So not only do we get a new throwing weapon, but we also get, a serious amount of damage. That was actually a terrible white damage roll, and that's going to be a little concerning proceeding on through this fight. You want white to do max damage if at all possible. But 79.81 is not 99.99, so we're a little behind on damage right now. Black Hole will remove all status effects, so we have access to Corpus again. He's no longer angry at the world. He's no longer going to punch anything either, I'm sorry to say. And Rivers hopes to toss a heal on Zero Miss. What this is going to do will make Zero Miss counter with Nuke. And we want that to hit Rosa so it gets reflected. But unfortunately here it hits Corpus. So it's going to be really tight on damage here. So it's been a case of what can go wrong is going wrong. But if Link is able to clutch it out here and do a little bit more damage, we might be in the clear. Ooh.
That was not so great.
Well, he's going for it.
Yep.
Gotta hand it to him.
Yeah, and he doesn't have wall on right now, so he's probably gonna do it right on Zeromus. And we're just crossing our fingers for that damage.
Time.
Yes! Clutch, but did it. So that is the beauty of the Zeromus fight, and that was the Final Fantasy IV no64 run.
Very, very nice. It turns out your final time is 3:16:18.
Nice.
That's really quite good considering all the extra that needed to be done.
And some of the nasty RNG that happened during the run. Now, before, we go into shout-outs and outro and everything, we do have an $1,000 donation from Heidi Mandolin, probably better known as a part of Fangamer. So yes, this is Fangamer, and this is a pretty great donation. What an amazing weekend of support for hurricane victims. Big, big thanks to everyone who donated. Thanks to all the runners and the GDQ staff who put this together in a flash. And thank you to everyone who bought some Fangamer GDQ merch. We wouldn't have been able to make this donation without you. The news has been really rough lately, but seeing so many people come together to help others in such a big way brings me to tears. Keep doing good, y'all. See you at AGDQ 2018.
I just noticed the Zeromus that you guys put on the webcam. It's beautiful. No way, man. Zeromus is forever, as long as hatred survives.
Tofuha will take care of that.
That's right, he will.
So Rivers,
Ooh, yeah.
How much damage do you think you cleared that by?
700.
Yeah, I don't have numbers, but it was really close.
The attacks were all very high. That saved it. The Y rolls were all really low, but the attacks for Kane, I didn't see one under 2,000 the whole time, pretty much.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this final run. Very happy to have you here. It was Netara and Neerrm doing your commentary, and riversmccown doing the wonderful run. We have a very active Final Fantasy IV Discord, so if you ever want to come and join us and learn this run, we'll be very happy to have you.
Yeah, we got some very detailed notes as well, so I gotta refine these no64 ones for the end now that we've done this. Done the Kung Fu Kane strats. Obviously, that's got to get included, right?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the sort of swag we need.
That was wonderful.
Congratulations, Rivers, and once again, thank you to everybody who donated, not only during Final Fantasy IV, but during the whole marathon. Being here in Texas, I wasn't necessarily affected by the hurricane myself, more than a little bit of rain, but it's definitely been affecting a ton of people. So anything really helps, and thank you guys.
Yeah, not only is Houston Food Bank doing great thing for Houston, but also for Southeast Texas as a whole. So, we've got communities that were really devastated, like Rockport and Port Aransas. Even Beaumont got a ton of rain. So thank you guys so much for your incredible generosity, especially for the GDQ staff for setting us up on such short notice and letting us try to get back on our feet again here in Houston.
And the community just coming forward in just such a wave with all of these donations. I cannot thank you enough for all this.
Yeah, I mean, we crushed that 220. It turns out the total, as I'm seeing it right now, is $224,083, which is, I'm going to be honest, when me and the other staff were discussing, how much we would raise, some of us were thinking maybe $100,000 if it does really well.
So this, decimated that.
Some people were like, well, GRDQ 6 years ago raised, around $25,000. So let's set that as a goal. So, it's like the old GDQs. We set a goal and you all crush it. So it's amazing. It's really great to see the generosity of people. We should probably give the appropriate shout-outs to the Houston Food Bank and Fan Gamer and Yeti. Houston Food Bank didn't actually have a PayPal account before a marathon started, and even with all the chaos that's going on and how busy they are, they actually managed to set up a PayPal account for us so this event could happen, which is incredibly amazing of them. Among other things, obviously the work that they do and everything they put in. So a huge shout out to the Houston Food Bank. Obviously shout outs to the Yeti and Fan Gamer. The Yeti, being a longtime partner of GDQs with their awesome t-shirts, and this time with the coins and the banners. And again, this marathon was organized in about 2 days. So for them to come up with all that merch in just 2 days is pretty incredible. And on the same, Fan Gamer, similar situation. They prepared a lot of merchandise at the last minute, and they've done an amazing job for us. And they're a great partner of ours. Would you like to add anything else, Matt?
Yeah. So obviously, support class did a great job in whipping up the layouts in no time, taking our old SGDQ ones and working them so we could actually do this event. That was no small feat in itself, especially making stuff for the runners to use so they could prepare their layouts for us to quickly get between runs. That was really helpful. Also, I want to thank, of course, all of the runners and volunteers that came up and responded in mere hours in most cases. And that has been absolutely fantastic. I was really not sure how this event was going to come together until the last second. We were kind of questions like, are we going to hit maybe 25,000, maybe 50,000? And it's like, 100,000 might be a good shot. But over 200,000, I don't think hardly anybody was really considering that as an option. So that was absolutely amazing to see, and I'm really blown away. And I'm sure the Houston Food Bank is also blown away. They were really excited when they saw the money coming in, even on Saturday. And I'm sure they'll be even more excited once the guys we were working with are back in the office Monday or Tuesday. So it's been absolutely fantastic. And of course, I wanted to give a special shout out to Jan at BCF. Actually, she managed to get us a contact at the Houston Food Bank so we could actually set up the charity information we needed to actually do this event with them. So. Yeah, it's been a lot of help from a lot of people all over the place, and again, shouts to all the volunteers who are running stuff in the background. We have a lot of them. I'd say at least half of our volunteer hosts and stuff from SGDQ came back to do another run, and then a lot of runners coming in. And of course, if any runner didn't hear the news, if you did something at this event, it does not count against or towards your AGDQ run. So don't worry about that. You're in the clear. So just go ahead and resubmit if you really think that it's something you want to send to AGDQ. Just a reminder, AGDQ is coming up this winter. I think it starts January 7th. And the submissions and everything, we had to push that back a week. So that will be starting next weekend. That'll be the Saturday. So that's, I believe that's the 9th. Is that correct? Yes, it'll be the 9th. So that'll be registration, game submissions, volunteer coordination submissions, all that stuff opens up. So check on the website for that on Saturday. Otherwise, I think that's about it. I don't want to hang you guys around for too long, but keep the money rolling in. I have no reason to close it down early. As a matter of fact, we might even leave it open for the rest of the week until about Friday before we open up all the AGDQ stuff. So just go ahead and keep pitching in money. It'll keep going right to the charity for Houston Food Bank. And thank you guys so much for all your support. And I think that's all we have to say here. Anybody else got anything you want to say before we go?
I'd just like to make one last shout out to the man himself, Cool Matty. He broadcast this entirely from his apartment, and he basically arranged this entire marathon in 2 days. So if I could clap, unfortunately I'm using push to talk, I would give him a big round of applause right now for everything that he's done for GDQ, not only right now, but also for the past couple of years.
Thank you. And shout out to Railcoon in the back here. He's here with me.
Oh yeah, of course. He handled the overnight shifts.
Yeah. So I could actually get a few hours of sleep in between. So, and I know there's a lot of staff that was also working behind the scenes, not just the support class guys, but just I can't even list them all. They're all doing great work, even through the overnight stuff. So, thank you guys so much. And I don't know what else to say. I'm really shocked, and thank you so much, guys. Houston's really going to appreciate it. And of course, people kept asking. I want to mention this as well. The Houston Food Bank, they don't just deal with Houston; they deal with all the surrounding areas as well. So if you're worried about it only going to Houston, it's going to cover pretty much everything they can reach down there. So don't worry about that. It's going to help a lot of people. All right, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much, and keep an eye out for our Twitter. We're going to have the GDQ hotfix stuff coming up as well. We might even have something next weekend maybe. So keep an eye out for that if you would like to see more GDQ stuff before AGDQ. Otherwise, that is it from us. We are signing out. Thank you so much.
It looks like we might have hit something. I'll just have to refresh the tracker real fast.
They're going to snipe it? They're going to snipe it? Up. 225. I see it.
Well, you know what I have to do. Go!
Mic drop, we're out. See ya.
I share your sentiment, chat. All the clappers and Bible thumps. We're actually going to host RPG Limit Break because they're doing a Shin Megami Tensei marathon this weekend, and it feels fitting since we closed out an RPG. So, see you all at HDQ 2018.